We're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm sorry, with the invocation led by Mr. Thomas, and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me. Gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful to be here today. We're just thankful for this time to come together and do the county's business. We just ask you to be present with us tonight. Just give us wisdom, just give us patience, and just allow us to do all things for the benefit of our citizens. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go on to the approval of the agenda, I want to speak to the audience. If you're here to talk about the community center, which I know is a big item, I highly encourage you to get, we're going to be discussing 7 options. They're all spelled out clearly on the table the deputy's sitting. There's 2 pages. One has a map and one has text. The way we're going to do when we get to that item, David's going to briefly explain the items. I'm going to have the citizens get up and speak next, and then we as a board are going to discuss the item. We're going to try to get a consensus before a motion. I don't want a motion just thrown out there, okay? We're going to talk about it, try to get a consensus so we can, whatever decision, make up our mind and move on. And I just encourage citizens, when you speak, please try to be specific. We're looking at 7 options. Speaking in general terms like, I want a community center, we need a community center, we can't afford a community center, is it going to do us any good? Speaking in specific terms like, I like option blank because of blank, will help us as a board. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
And I guess if you have an idea that's not one of those 7, then please let us know.
Yes, but try to keep it as close to one of the variants of it as, you know, those aren't the only options, but those are the 7 we're going to be discussing, and we all have the options in front of us, so when you say, I like item blank, we'll know what everybody's talking about, just to make the meeting go smoother. Can we get a motion on the agenda, please?
How we, as far as making a motion to approve the agenda, consent agenda items to be pulled.
I mean, if you want to pull consent agenda items.
Yeah, I'd like to pull 20 and 21.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to move under general business. Let me just get down there. Under general business, that community center item is 15. Can we move it up to the top of it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind moving up to the top of the general business, but
yes.
not here. I want to give everybody plenty of time to read the literature.
I would recommend, do you want to move that to above number 12, or do you want to let number 12 stay there and then do the community center just that?
That's true. Let's do 12 first, Howard, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm in agreement.
If I can remember what I wrote on my paper.
I also have an announcement, and I would like to table my items 18A and 18B.
Okay. 18A and B. So basically you have no items in right, Ralph?
Correct.
Okay. And what was the first thing you said?
I have an announcement.
Okay. We'll do that after the awards.
Move to motion to approve the agenda with modifications.
I'll make a second motion.
Any more discussion? All for the motion? All right. All right, David.
Thank you, Chairman. This agenda item has been before you in the past. This is one of 3 public hearings that is required for this topic. This agenda item requests board approval to conduct the public hearing and allow presentation for discussion and input relating to the application of the Department of Environmental Protection Recreational Trails Program, known as RTP grant program, for walking trails, improvements in trail amenities at Azalea Park. The RTP is a competitive grant program providing federal, state funding to local governments for projects that construct, renovate, or maintain recreational trailheads, trailhead facilities. Projects can address motorized trails, etc. This application is evaluated on a point system based on the project variables. However, public input is required. So the grant award is for $200,000. We plan on using that for the revitalization of Azalea Park. resurfacing of our existing facility, as well as some other, possibly some other parks in the area. So, therefore, I'd ask for a motion, please.
I make a motion we approve to conduct a public hearing to present the RTP grant for walking trail improvements and trail amenities at Azalea Park and to allow discussion and input.
And second.
Okay, is there any public input on this item? Ms. Harris?
Lynn Art, 6 Frank Jones Road, Met-Art. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm delighted that we're going after funds to make some improvements to Azalea Park. It's one of our greatest treasures, and it highly used, and it definitely needs some repairs or improvements. I don't know how wide, I mean, if you're just talking about resurfacing the existing trail or if you can widen it, but I would suggest widening it 8 feet or more. And I think at a previous meeting I noted that Commissioner Kessler was interested perhaps in a playground. I hope I'm not confusing the...
He was concerned about...
Oh, concerned about a playground. Okay, well, I don't know if this grant will even finance a playground. I did want to encourage you to maybe wait and see the outcome of the community center item, because that calls for a huge playground that will have separate areas for toddlers. It'll have seating for caregivers. Anything you build at Azalea Park is going to have to be fairly small, and it really will need to be enclosed there. You may not need both, is what I'm trying to say. If we end up with a huge playground at the community center, then there's probably a good reason not to do one in Azalea Park. If you don't have one at the community center, then maybe there is a need to try and do something at Azalea Park. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more citizens? Any discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes. David, flood ordinance.
Good evening, Commissioners. This agenda item is for needed updates to the floodplain management and flood zone construction provisions of Wakulla County's codes. These changes are necessary to be consistent with the Florida Building Code. Just for clarification, they're not related to the FEMA map updates. That ordinance will be coming to you later in the year. These are just really to be consistent with the state's requirements. What you have before you is based on the state model floodplain ordinance. This item did go to the Planning Commission, and they recommended unanimously that you approve this, and staff is also recommending approval and is available to answer any of your questions.
Just a couple of things, Commissioners. This ordinance, exactly what Louis says, it does not adopt the new floodplain maps. It adopts your old maps. We will need to amend it when those new maps do become effective. But what this does is puts the county's code in the correct legal posture so that you can participate in the NFIP and the community rating system.
And this, when we revised it, it took out, this is the one that had the 1 foot extra freeboard in there that we took that out. We took out the requirements in historical subdivisions that you have to have a letter from an engineer saying that you can build a monolithic slab, which I thought was crazy talk from the first time. Now, one thing it did add is on the FEMA 50% rule, it's accumulative over 5 years. That's one thing that probably is changing. And, I've mulled it over a lot. I think I could probably live with that. Do we get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second motion.
Good enough, Heather, for legal requirements?
We'll adopt.
Option 1, I assume, and
Yes.
a second on option 1.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Any citizens? All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes. Hey, Howard, you presentation.
Yes. So I'm going to go through a lot of this slowly. The item itself that we're going to be handling at the later part in the meeting deals with an acknowledgement and recognition of 3 commissioners who took action to support the state purchase of Wakulla Springs. And just a little background, in 1925, Mr. George Christie had purchased Wakulla Springs, and in 1934, Mr. Ed Ball purchased Wakulla Springs. And after Mr. Ball died in 1981, there came before the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners an action to accept or reject or support the state's proposed purchase of Wakulla Springs. At this time, it's with great pleasure and admiration that the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners is able to acknowledge and thank the 3 commissioners who voted to keep Wakulla Springs a protected area and had it purchased by the state of Florida for a state park. There was controversy surrounding this vote and Wakulla Springs. There was an issue concerning the environment and the division whether this should be preserved or should be developed. And there was an issue of property tax, of whether this should remain on the tax rolls or that this would be taken over by the state and lose that taxable revenue. As late as 1986, Wakulla Springs was in private hands. It was purchased in 1986. And as you listen to the resolution that I'm about to read, hopefully it will be passed by this board later in the meeting. We will learn how the state purchase of Wakulla Springs has had an enormous impact on our local economy and the way Wakulla County grows. So I'm going to take the liberty to read that resolution, which is not too terribly long, but it is a beautiful resolution.
We like those.
All right. This is a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Wakulla County, Florida, expressing the acknowledgement and appreciation for actions taken by 3 former county commissioners in their efforts to save Wakulla Springs as a state park. Whereas Wakulla Springs State Park is geographically located in Wakulla County and contains Wakulla Springs, which is a first magnitude spring. Whereas Wakulla Springs State Park receives approximately 200,000 visitors a year. And since Wakulla Springs State Park was established in 1986, the park has received 4,800,000 visitors. And whereas Wakulla Springs brings $22 million a year to our local economy, and whereas Wakulla County values the recreational, environmental, and economic assets of Wakulla Springs State Park, and whereas Wakulla Springs provides a form of clear fresh water discharge to the Appalachian Bay, which is needed to provide brackish water for the marsh ecosystem in order that shellfish and other marine life can flourish. And whereas as late as 1986, Wakulla Springs was in private ownership, and whereas in 1985 a resolution came before the Wakulla Board of County Commissioners that promoted that the state of Florida purchase Wakulla Springs to be protected as a state park. And whereas in 1985 the Wakulla County Commission voted by a vote of 3-2 to support said resolution, whereas County Commissioners Wilhelmina Minnie Cronin, Billy Porter, and Murray McLaughlin voted in favor of that resolution in 1985. And whereas County Commissioners Wilhelmina Minnie Cronin, Billy Porter, and Murray McLaughlin stood firm to protect Wakulla Springs, and whereas it is the position of the present Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners that the aforementioned commissioners are deserving of acknowledgement and recognition. And now therefore be it resolved that the Wakulla County Board of County Commissioners in regular session duly assembled this 4th day of March 2013 hereby declares the following. 1. past county commissioners Wilhelmina Minnie Cronin, Billy Porter, and Murray McLaughlin are officially recognized for their efforts to protect Wakulla Springs. And 2, further, Wilhelmina Minnie Cronin, Billy Porter, and Murray McLaughlin are sincerely thanked for standing firm to protect Wakulla Springs. Hopefully this will be passed and duly adopted at this meeting and signed by our chairman, Randy Merritt. I'd like at this time to call up and to the front of the meeting Mr. Billy Porter, Mr. Murray McLaughlin, please, and representing Wilhelmina Cronin has since passed, and representing Wilhelmina will be 2 of her daughters if they are here, Sandra DeGennaro and Pamela Hodges. I should mention that Wilhelmina was the first woman commissioner of Wakulla County.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I guess if I was going to have a legacy as a commissioner back in the 80s, and I could pick what I wanted to be that legacy, it would have been Wakulla Springs. It's a beautiful place. I've enjoyed it all my life since I was a little kid. I was out there today, and it's just no place like it. And I'm proud that I had an opportunity to be a part of preserving that, and I'm very thankful to the park management for the outstanding job they've done over the years. We have Sandy Cook here, a former park manager, and they've just done a wonderful job, and we are extremely grateful for their efforts as well. Thank you.
This wasn't a one-man operation when we did this. The man that really needs special recognition is not here probably. He came to me back in 85 and told me that he had rumors that Wakulla Springs was fixing to be purchased by a big developer. And so we went over to the spring, invited him over to the Springs for lunch, and we sat down, and he set up a game plan about getting the Springs purchased. That was Leroy Mays Gray. He did all the letter writing. He did set up all the meetings with the governor's staff. We went up there, and all the governor's staffs was from South Florida, and all the funds at that time were going to South Florida because of the population explosion. And we finally got it on the list. We met with the governor and cabinet, and hit bolted from I think 20th to 2nd their first meeting. And also we had 2 House of Representatives at that time, and neither one of them in our district, which was Herb Morgan. He's deceased now, and out of Cedar Key was what's his name, Murray? Gene Hodges helped us, and he was out of our district, out of Cedar Key. So we had a lot of people working on this that made it a great place that will be here, forever. And when you visit Wakulla Springs, you're visiting a place that's not man-made. It's made by nature.
and it is extremely beautiful. And I thank the past commissioners for putting protective zone, around Wakulla Springs that, will never be developed up next to it. And also for the support that I got from Murray. Murray and Miss Cronin Murray was very supportive, and I appreciate him. When you serve on the board with a friend that has the same goals that you have. Now he and I we butted heads on a lot of stuff, but on this we were all 100%. And I'd like to thank the board and Wakulla County, for this. Thank y'all. Thank you.
I just want to thank y'all and thank you, Mom. That's all.
We're honored to accept this, and I know when she was in office she loved it, every minute of it, and she was a great woman and we miss her.
All right, always good to see something good happen at meetings. Thank you, Howard. You're welcome. Ralph, you had an announcement?
Yeah, this Saturday is the 47th annual swine show, and it's going to be a great time. Anyone that's never been to it, we've got kids from 6 years old to 18 years old that will be showing pigs that they've raised from small pigs. So it's a good family event. There'll be a barbecue. There'll be events and entertainment and booths, and so if you can, it's at the Extension office at 9 a.m. Saturday morning.
All right. I want to, one more time, we have some new people walk in. If you're here to discuss the community center, I highly encourage you to pick up a copy of the options over there where the deputy's sitting in front of the chair, so when we talk about it, you'll have a lot better idea of the options we're going to be discussing. All right, on to the consent item. Do we have a motion on it?
Move to approve with the changes noted.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All for the motion? Aye. Okay, motion passes. Howard, you wanted to talk about 20 and 21?
Yes, sir. Are there any citizens to speak on those?
Yes.
Number 20, right?
20, yep. Both 20 and 21, but 20 is request board approval to award the Gulf Tourism and Seafood Promotional Grant for digital media advertising services. I don't know what the the timeline for approving these things, but we got this material kind of late. I don't know when you all got it, but I think it was Friday afternoon, and it was a bunch of material. I still haven't gone through it completely. I don't know if it's a matter that we can table this, or do we have to really move on it because there's a time constraint?
We're approving TDC's recommendation, correct? They're the ones that evaluated it, the proposals?
If I can make a comment on it, and the board has tasked me with being the representative to the board, and so I said from the beginning I want to make sure that I'm executing that with the will of this board. This is not just my plan, but just to bring this back to you guys. I've got a couple of issues, and maybe they're not issues, or one's just a procedural thing that we need to determine if we think it's going to be an issue. Our last TDC meeting, we formed a committee to have a ranking of the proposals that you're seeing tonight. We have not had another TDC meeting since that ranking was in place. So the assumption from the people that were doing the ranking was they were moving forward and it would be presented to the board. It's not recorded in the minutes that way, so I'm a little bit concerned that procedurally we would have a problem with that not being ratified with a full quorum in place.
You want to take the committee's recommendation in front of the TDC board before it comes to this board?
I think so, and I have no doubt that the TDC board will approve it. I just want to make sure that this is a lot of money. We've never received this amount of money and probably never will again, and I don't want us to trip up and lose it because, we have a conflict because someone says that we didn't bid it properly and it wasn't approved properly, and we have a problem down the road.
Heather, what do you think?
And I'll have to ask for Debbie's assistance. I don't believe that the procurement documents spoke specifically to the process of going back to the TDC, and I'm personally not familiar with how the TDC typically does their rankings and proposals, but obviously, if this board, in your wisdom, wants the TDC to officially vote on an item before you do, that is your prerogative. Debbie, do you know how the RFP was structured? Does it require a formal approval by the TDC before we react? It does not. So the RFP did not speak to that specific procedural issue.
Do you think that TDC would, do you have any inkling that the TDC would go against the committee's findings?
I do not. I think it'll be overwhelmingly for it. I do have one thing that I would like to bring up, and I guess I'd first have to apologize that obviously I'm coming into this late because I just went on the TDC, just elected. They had the RFPs in place and all that was moving forward, and so there's some things now that I'm getting my mind wrapped around it. There's some things that I would like to have done differently had I been on it earlier. And just a question for this board, the only main problem that I see with the RFPs as they stand is we're approving hiring two different companies, one for digital media and one for print advertising. I'm thinking that's a bad idea. I think that today any print advertising we do is generally going to direct folks to a website, a Facebook page, and maybe it's too late to deal with this, but I just want to share this and let you guys back me and tell me what you're thinking.
The thing I'm going to ask is, I agree with y'all. I don't want us to lose this grant. Is there any way, as far as timeline reasons, that we could go on ahead and move forward with the grant, but is there any of these things we can clean up afterwards?
And if any TDC folks are here, definitely welcome their input as well. But I know the requirements of the grant, we have to do a quarterly report of what has happened. That next report is due in 18 days. So my thinking, regardless of what we do tonight, that there's probably not going to be very much substance, if anything, in the next 18 days to that report. We still have to have the contracts approved. Then the next report will be due, I think, June 21st. And so I don't know that it validates us, and someone correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that we probably need to be careful and decide, is this the route we want to go if we do have the time.
I'd be interested to know if it was a requirement of the grant that it be split up like that, or if it was...
No, it's not. And again, it's late in the process, but I still think that we can, even if we decided to change it, I think we have time to do that. I would like to, like I said, this is a lot of money that's been given to us, and we'll never see this again. I think that we need to be careful that we have a long-term lasting effect of this money, and not just a bunch of money spent this year. It would be nice if we can stagger this advertising so we'll continue to receive results from it for years to come. I would like to see us hire a consultant that is an expert in this area and have that consultant put a plan together moving forward.
I totally agree.
What's the timeline that we have to work with to do all this before we lose the grant?
The grant is through the end of November, and so it has to be done by that time. The only other time frames that I see in the contract is we have to do a quarterly report, but there's no specifics about a certain amount has to be spent each quarter. So, unless there's something I'm missing, I don't see there's any real concern as long as we get it fully executed by the end of November.
You want to combine 20 and 21 into one motion, specific motion, so the citizens that do speak will know how to respond to what your idea is, or whoever's idea.
Well, the thing right now, as I'm saying, is that I could put them in one motion to basically put this off, to bring it back.
What about Ralph's idea of combining them and looking for...
Well, to be honest, like Howard said, a lot of this has come together, and we just got the rankings, and so this is not even a concept I've discussed with the TDC. So I agree. Let's put it on hold.
It's the motion. Let's table that, both items, 20 and 21.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you bringing them back at the next meeting? Is that the intent of the motion?
We still want to do citizens.
It needs to come back the next meeting.
I would do citizens.
whatever we table, I just think we just need to make sure that we're still following a timeline,
Yeah,
because
we
we do not need to lose this money.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You, Taylor?
Thank you all. My name is Hugh Taylor. I live at 1357 Martin Luther King Road. Based on the discussion just recently and based on recent events, I would say my thoughts have always been to defer it, table it. If there's no exigent problem with obtaining the money, I think the whole TDC situation should be workshopped and on some sort of elemental basis, where we stand, what we can do, what money we can expect to have, personnel, budgets, those kind of things over a few workshops. I may be crazy, but it's a lot of money. There's a lot of money coming. There needs to be systematic changes in the relationship between the TDC and the board, in my opinion. If there's any way to defer it, please defer it. Thank you.
Tell?
Neeraj Patel, 3292 Coastal Highway, Best Western. I serve on TDC board. I'm on the TDC board for the last 2.5 years, I believe. And I was one of the individuals who ranked the 2 out of 3 in the questions, and the 4 people involved in it. And each of us have enough experience to rank and to properly find the best solution, because we are all involved in the tourism business one way or other. And the reason the 2 companies were selected was, one was better in print and media. The other one was better in online web presence. The hiring one is a good idea most of the time, but sometimes it works against you, because each individual company has a different power of buying out there. From my experience from Best Western, I spent almost close to $120,000 on the advertising and marketing through Best Western and on my own. And I use that money wisely to get the best return on investment possible. And some of the formulas I used for selecting this, going through this RFP process, was what I tested in my own field in the hotel business. And I think the 2 companies we have selected are some of the best ones who give us the best results out there. Other thing is the time is limited. In November is the deadline, I believe. If you don't use it, we're going to lose it. And this money will give us a chance to test what we can do in future, how we can do it. We will collect enough data, providing the information that the both vendors will provide us data for who's coming to visit the sites, or who's taking the promotions, advantage of the promotions from the, we'll have some way of tracking each and every web contents as well as the print media which are out there. And we will be able to collect enough data which will be able to use in the future, because we are limited with the number of dollars coming in each year. This is a great deal for us, the $500,000 we got. That's the money we got right now, and we have a chance to test it out right now for the future. And I suggest to this commission to let us go forward on the TDC and try to go through the, use the vendors we have selected and use them the best to our knowledge. I mean, we are 9 of us on that board, and each one has the experience, enough experience. I know I might be out of time here, but each one has enough experience in their field, and we're not going to just throw away that money. I mean.
Thank you. Cherie?
Cherie Miller, 36 Alberta Court. I'm on the Tourist Development Council. I also was an interviewer for this process. This is the proposal when we applied for the grant that y'all voted for us to go on. The budget was in here, how much we were spending on digital media for someone to do print ads and how much we were spending. So this is not new. Y'all already voted on this. Then y'all voted for us to accept the grant, which that was part of that. I think time is of the necessity. We need to move forward. I feel like our board is capable. As far as hiring a consultant, we do not have time to start putting more RFPs out, doing more advertising. Time is very crucial right now. If we need to go back to the TDC board, I would ask you all to give Ralph direction that we call a special meeting, the board get together, and then if the TDC board feels that we have chose the best two to do this work, that we move forward. Timing is very crucial right now. The people that did these plans has it planned out in a very short time, where we should have had this approved back in January and had almost a full year to work on this. So I ask you, please do not table this tonight. Please take our recommendations and go forward with that. Timing is very crucial right now. And I think our TDC board is capable of seeing this project through November.
Jackie Young.
Youngstrand. Jackie Youngstrand.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Thank you. Jackie Youngstrand, I'm the secretary on the Tourist Development Council. I'm owner of TNT Hideaway, and I do need to let you guys know that this has been a process for quite a while. It's been known in all the TDC meetings. If anyone had comments that they felt that they wanted input on how this money was spent, they should have been at our meetings. They should have participated and not requested after the fact workshops. We voted on this as Cherie said, with the proposal and everything. We formed our committee. We went over everything to where we picked out the best 2 companies, and it is needed to have 2 different companies, the expertise in each different style. There are the web design and also the online and magazine ads and everything that they have to do digitally and have a better expertise at it than we do. And then there's also the print people that are more expertise in that. They're going to be able to do our visitor guide and all the other print material. So it is important that we split this. And this is how it was written in the proposal. The matter of time, I believe the money has to be spent by November. So we do have a time limit on this. As I said, it's been in the works for a long time. You guys have been aware of it. I do ask that you go ahead and go with our recommendation on who we've chosen. We take it back, have a special meeting with the TDC. If the board does not agree with us, then we will not go forward. But I would like your blessing on the ones that we have approved on, and to be able to get that approved by the board, and then to move on to where we can get this taken care of. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sue?
Sue Damon, Walker Creek Drive. I was not prepared really to talk on this, but I agree with Ralph, and I thank you, Ralph, for taking the time to do this right, and Howard for seconding this. And I'm in advertising. This is what I do. I've done it for 16 years. I do it day in and day out. And there's a certified destination marketing professional that could be in Wakulla County this week who could help us put together a cohesive plan that includes online as well as print. And as Ralph said, they do overlap. An ad agency doesn't just do print or just do online. The problem with this Madden proposal, we are going to the Oprah Network. We're going to the Rachel Day Show. We're going to the Food Network, to ChicagoTribune.com, to the NewYorkTimes.com. We want a 5 to 6 hour drive time for people to come and visit us. And the Madden proposal, the Madden rep went to every entity that got this money. And I called various entities, TDCs and so forth, to find out, and this is a cookie cookie-cutter plan for every single one of the bids that they won. Now, in terms of time, 6 months is plenty of time to put together a really great campaign that's suited just for Wakulla County. Another problem I found when I looked at the information, and I'm not sure which print media person y'all picked, but some of the magazines were doing double-page spreads in a birded magazine, and we could do a 1/3 page ad, which would save us money. Then, one in particular magazine, which was Kayak or Canoe or something, only 18% of their readers even live in the southeast. 18%, how many of them are 5 to 6 hours away from us? We really need to look at this plan, and there are people that can take a look at everything, and we can still spend $250 on this and $250 on print. But you need to have somebody. This is our one chance to really, really build ourselves and brand ourselves, and I think the way we're doing it piecemeal is a bad idea. My opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I don't have a problem going forward with it. They've done their due diligence. We've been involved the entire time from day one till right now. I don't have a problem going forward with it, personally. I'm not going to go to war over it, but if the board votes to table it, then we'll table it.
I tend to agree with you. I've got one procedural deal. I think you folks did this as a committee, but you need to take it to your...
I think it'd be fine, I guess what you're saying, if we did approve it, if that's the way we go, that it'd be contingent upon approval of the full TDC board.
Yeah, you've got to take it to your full TDC board, and you haven't done that at this time.
Yeah, if this board wanted to go forward and vote on these tonight, you could approve them
Subject
with the
to
contingency that the full TDC board ratifies that or agrees with that recommendation. Another thing, I just want a point of clarification. The Madden proposal is not on the agenda. They were not the selected vendor, according to the agenda item.
Your motion, I think, right?
Well, I like the point that Commissioner Thomas brought up about having someone that's an expert above and beyond to be able to coordinate and get everyone on the same page, whether it's two different companies or one company, really doesn't matter, but there's someone that's coordinating this thing that's sort of a general manager on the job, and it doesn't sound like we have that right now.
I'm in favor of going in and voting for this, letting them move forward tonight in order to where they've got more time to work with it if they were to win it.
Okay, let's have a vote on the motion. Is there still a second?
I make a comment?
Sure.
First of all, I'd like to state, at least from my point of view, there's no question about the talent or the integrity of the people on that TDC. I know you guys put your heart into everything. All I'm trying to do, I feel that I was not elected to rubber stamp anything, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking at all aspects of it. And like Randy said, this is not something I'm willing to dig in my heels and die over, but I think that we do need to point these things out. One of the companies that we're proposing to award a grant to, Media Design, if you look at the first page of their document, that person who's winning the grant tonight, or winning the contract tonight, made a recommendation that it would be better for this to be awarded to one provider, and even made a recommendation that we should cancel the RFP and reissue the RFP. And that person stands to gain from this contract and sees the wisdom in that.
Well, those are all good points to make to the TDC board, and they may decide not to approve this. Like I said, if it does get approved, it'll be contingent upon their approval. If the TDC board, which you're on, agrees with that, then the TDC board could just say, we want to cancel this, let's go back and do it exactly the way you're saying. That avenue will still be there, of course.
Yes. I just want to make sure it's known that, we may not be fully maximizing the opportunity here.
And again, the TDC board, they still have another say in this. Even if we vote tonight to approve it, I would hope the motion would be contingent upon the TDC. Howard?
Yeah, I just want to reemphasize the lateness that we got our material. This process has been going on, yes, but when we are asked to involve ourselves and to vote on an item and then get a half-inch of material on Friday afternoon.
I would agree 150% if we were supposed to be selecting a firm, but we're supposed to be approving something that hopefully TDC members did their due diligence and did clearly read through those proposals, and I think they do represent the county and My opinion is we're just approving theirs. But anyway, we have a motion. Do we still have a second?
Now, let me ask you, is this the motion that was on the table?
This is the motion to table. Do you still want a second, or do you want to withdraw your second?
I'm going to keep my second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All for the motion?
Aye.
All against? Aye. Motion fails 3. Ralph, did you vote to table it?
Yes.
Okay, motion fails 3-2. Is there a new motion?
I'd like to make the motion that we vote on this tonight. We move forward with the contingent that they ratify it.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, or I guess reemphasize what another commissioner has said. Our job is not to rubber stamp them. We have the most talented people on their commission or board, but it's our job to review that, and we're putting our stamp of approval on it, and we have not had the time to really go through that material.
Okay. Any more discussion?
I would just like one more thing. I would like to just thank Ralph for bringing out some things, but I do want us to to vote this through and to let them be able to have plenty of time.
And Ralph, I hope you'll bring these very valid points back up when the TDC board meets.
Oh, absolutely.
To approve this.
And I'll say, just like on this board, I'm one vote. Just like on that board, I'm one vote. So let's move forward and let's do great things for our county. But I'm going to point out these things when I think they're valid and see how we
appreciate that. All for the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-2. David?
This next agenda item, request board approval for the proposed resolution ordering and providing for the holding of a referendum.
Did we vote on 20 and 21 together?
Yes.
You got the, okay, sorry.
We got it. Yep.
I had that. Let me start over again. This agenda item request board, that's okay. Request board approval of the proposal resolution ordering and providing for the holding of a referendum election on May 14, 2013 for the Wakulla County School Board District. The .25 mil levy for critical needs approved by the voters in November 2010 will expire on June 30th, 2013. Because the Florida legislature amended state law to no longer authorize further continuation of that levy, and the state has cut the Wakulla County education budget by more than $4 million over the past 5 years, and the Wakulla County School District is in a declining student enrollment, causing a deficient budget deficit. Florida statute provides a procedure for a school district to levy an additional ad valorem millage for 4 years for school operational purposes pursuant to voter referendum. The school board has determined that it is in the best interest of the students and citizens of Wakulla County to submit to the voters the question of approving an ad valorem millage increase of 1/2 mil for 4 years beginning on July 1st, 2013 and ending June 30th, 2017 for school operational purposes. The school board has adopted a resolution pursuant to Section 1011.73 Florida statutes directing the county commission to call a special election on May 14, 2013 and to place the question on the ballot.
What we're going to be voting on, basically, so everybody understands, is to allow the school board to put a ballot, an initiative on the ballot in a special election to let the citizens decide whether or not they want to approve this special millage rate or not. This is not from us. Randy, if you want to, did you want to say anything about it?
I've got a prepared statement so that I won't take up your time tonight, but I would say this, that on February 11th, 2013, the School Board of Wakulla County passed a resolution ordering and providing for the holding of a referendum election to authorize the school board to annually levy .50 mils for 4 years for school operating expenses. Given our current economic situation, which includes a declining student enrollment, declining property tax roll, 5 consecutive years of state budget cuts in education, and the loss of the ability to levy the The quarter mil for critical needs, which I would add was compressed by the state, so the taxpayers of Wakulla County got funding from other sources outside Wakulla County. In other words, it generated more than 1/4 mil would produce in Wakulla. The school board has determined that it is in the best interest of the students and citizens of Wakulla County to submit to the voters the question of approving an ad valorem millage increase of 1/2 mil for 4 years. The citizens of Wakulla County expect a high-performing school district, and we want them to have the opportunity to vote and determine if this levy is appropriate. Therefore, we are asking that the board approve the proposed resolution ordering and providing for the holding of a referendum election on May 14, 2013 for the students of Wakulla County School District. I'm here tonight representing our school board in this effort. I will point this out also that I think is very important. In 14-15, this county will have then paid off our debt service for the bond that has been set at Wakulla High School for the annex that was added during the mid-90s. That currently is set at 0.55 mils, so as of 14-15, that will be taken off the tax roll. And I commend the county for supporting us on that at that time, and I commend the taxpayers for standing by and making sure that debt was paid. Thank you for the chance to speak.
Y'all have any questions for Randy?
I do. You say a .55 will be taken off for the millage rate in 14-15.
That is correct, sir.
Bobby, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You
I've been called a lot worse.
There's Randy in there somewhere.
That's my dad.
There we go.
I got the same middle name, I just don't use it very often. Yes, sir, that is correct. In 14-15, 0.55 mils will go off the books because we'll have settled that debt settlement.
And you're wanting to put how much?
0.50.
So basically, in 14-15, we're back even.
That is correct, with it actually 5/100ths of a mil less. That's correct, sir.
Right.
And just so you know, we've done a little homework. The average taxpayer will pay $2 per month for these first few years, additional to what they've already been paying. Because remember, we have been levying a quarter mil for these costs, and we're going to lose that. But I will tell you that our loss of students this year, we've lost over 100 students, and we've been in a declining enrollment for the past 4 years, and we're very concerned in Wakulla County, as I think a lot of people are, that the environmental center can't come fast enough to generate some jobs and some interest in coming to Wakulla. But right now, our district, along with Franklin County, have suffered greatly, but Franklin much worse than us. They're in dire straits in Franklin County right now because they had the perfect storm. But we're not far behind it, and I will tell you that this millage would not completely replace the critical mill with the compression, but it will go a long way towards protecting the integrity of the student services that we currently provide. And I think as superintendent of schools, I want to be able to look at the parent of a 7th grader in the face and say to them, yes, your child will have the same services available to him or her that the seniors that are currently graduating from Wakulla High School currently have. We don't want to see that.
It's interesting when I asked you why we had decline in student population, you told me, at least in Franklin County's case, there's a lot of people moving to the oil fields.
That is correct.
North and south, looking for work, and a lot of them are taking their kids.
That's correct. Yeah, unfortunately, the largest segment of the population that have left us are elementary school students, which is not a good sign in a declining enrollment situation, because that's long term when you lose elementary, as far as that tax base. Thank you again for giving me a chance to speak.
I'll make a motion to approve that, or what do I have to do? Is it approve or adopt? Or
Option 1, how about Heather? Good enough? Okay, option 1.
I'll second the motion.
No, sir. No, sir, you can't. No, sir, you can't.
You have to fill out a
No, sir. Okay, is there any more discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say that this message has been put out by the superintendent, Mr. Pierce, in a clear way. I attended a presentation at the school board, and the figures are what they are. The school system that really is the jewel of Wakulla County and attracts a lot of people here is what we have to protect. And all Mr. Pierce is asking is that this be allowed to be brought before the voters so that they can decide to tax themselves or not.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Missy, Rudd? I used to ride the school bus with Missy.
You used to ride with them?
Ride the school bus.
Good evening, I'm Missy Rudd. I'm the president of the Wakulla Classroom Teachers Association. My address is 5659 Smith Creek Road. And while I live in Leon County, I pay taxes here in Wakulla. I have 2 children in the school system in the high school. And I'm here to speak in favor of the referendum election. I believe, as do most teachers, that the state of Florida should provide appropriate funding for public education and other programs, but we all know that it doesn't. And now with sequestration coming up, we're going to lose some federal funding as well. State funding for education is at its lowest level that it has been in many years. And in fact, our county alone has lost about $4 million. I think that's in our paperwork. As Mr. Pierce said, our student population is down. That's about another $500,000. Our quarter meal funding 7 cents this year. That's about $600,000. So we're really looking at ways to save money and to be the best steward, and the school district has done an excellent job of that. We really need to look at additional sources of revenue to keep current funding for our students and for our teachers. We have some great kids here in this county, and we, as teachers and as parents, we don't want to see that cut. We want to see them continue to grow and become the next leaders of our county and our state and even our nation. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Basically, I came from a long line of teachers. My brothers, my sisters, my aunts, my uncles, all their kids, they all teach. My wife is on the Board of Education in Georgia for 8 years, so I totally support you. You are the Chamber of Commerce for Wakulla County. We do have a Chamber of Commerce, but the school system, nobody comes to this county without asking, how is your school system? And we rank #1. Nobody around us comes close, so congratulations to you.
For discussion? Call for the motion?
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. All right, David, on to the music part. Again, I want to remind people, if you're going to talk about the community center, which is the next item, I'll encourage you to read the options we're going to be talking about, just to be familiar with them. And please be as specific as you can with your points. We're going to have David briefly summarize the items, you know, the situation and the options, and then we're going to go straight to citizens to speak your mind. And be 3-minute time limit. When the buzzer goes off, your 3 minutes is up, so please wind it up. Thank you. David?
Yes, the purpose of this agenda item is to request board direction for the community center options. As you know, over the past couple of years, we've been around and around with the community center. We obtained a HUD grant for $396,000 to build and or renovate an area there for a community center. We've had numerous activities, and it started in the community center advisory group, as well as a survey went out in 2012 for the community center. So we've evolved around to where now we need to make a decision as to move forward. Therefore, staff has developed 7 options. 6 of those are really are viable. Basically, what you'll see is items 1 through 3 are true community center. Have the land at Trice Lane, corner of Shadeville and Trice Lane would be true community center. That would be dedicated to that. Items 4, 5, and 7 have a community center there, but also it's involving governmental activities such as a fire and EMS facility. So to get started quickly and to get through these items, option number 1, if you'll. The best way to explain this is we've got an illustration on the board. Option number 1, this option is construct a community center as planned at the existing site located at the intersection of Trice Lane and Shadeville. This option constructs a new building, which is the gym or multi-purpose unit facility with HUD dollars, makes needed renovations to the existing 2 buildings to meet the needs of a multi-purpose community center. What this would be, this facility will be operated by the YMCA have multi-purpose community center, and also utilizes the HUD grant. The total cost of this to the county would be $667,813, and that's even utilizing the grant funding. But that's building the facility out full on as per planned. That would be that option. The next option, option number 2, renovate the existing 2 buildings that are served there as a community center located at the intersection of Trice Lane and Shadeville. This we would utilize using the grant funds to make the needed renovations to the west building, which is the building closest to Trice Lane. This option, the YMCA would operate this facility as well. We would not have the multi-purpose room, but yet we would have the rooms on the east building to function as for youth activities, as well as summer camps, after-school camps, etc. And then the west building would be for the more the adult side of the community center. This has no capital cost, as the grant will be utilized for those interior for that interior option. Community center option number 3. This option is to construct a new building, the gym, on the existing property located at the intersection of Trice Lane and Shadeville, and make minor renovations to the west building. What this is, we went back to the contractor that was the apparent low bidder for the project and asked him what could he do for within our $300,000 budget on the multi-purpose system building. He could basically build that shell. It would be unfinished out interior-wise. Build the shell as represented there, and we could do some minor renovations, mainly flooring in the west building. This option, as again, is zero cost to the county as we utilize those funds, and would provide us a community center. But fairly quickly after this, there would be a need for upgrades coming very shortly. All right, option number 4. This starts the options that include the fire and EMS facility. Oop, 1 too far. Huh? You're messing with me, Katie. This one is construct a new building on the existing property located at intersection Trice Lane, Shadeville. This would construct a new multi-purpose facility, much as in option number 3. But also, what this would do is we would move fire and EMS facilities into the east building and construct a truck bay for the housing of the fire and EMS vehicles, and then the west building would have minor renovations to accommodate community center kitchen and BoCC meeting rooms, and also it would be for rental for the purposes of the community center as well, and community center purposes. The YMCA would not be operating this facility. This would be a county run facility, so therefore they would be out of the picture at this option. Option number 5. Convert the east building to fire and EMS operations, and the west building to the BoCC chamber. What this option does is basically number 5 turns the facility, that entire Trice Lane facility, into a governmental center. Meaning in the future there will be governmental operations primarily there. We can rent it out in the meantime, but the west building would be for rentals, for community type rentals, and the BoCC purposes. The east building would be for the fire and EMS facility, and we would construct the barn. Option number 6 is not really an option. It's in there. The timing does not work out to move the community center to the extension center and utilize the grant. We found this out at a little late to take this option out. So it is not an option to be recommended. Now, option number 7, the last one, finally. Renovate the west building as planned for the community center, convert the east building to fire and EMS facility, and construct the fire and EMS truck bays. All right, what this does, this option does somewhat as 5, but yet this option utilizes the grant funds on the west building, utilizes the grant funds to renovate the west building to be turned into a community center. Does not construct the multi-purpose area, and also converts the east building to a fire and EMS facility and constructs our truck bay. These are your options before you. There, like I say, there may be more, but I think 7 is plenty. And that kind of what triggered this is one is we were getting down to this point as well with the community center. We bid it out. We've got an apparent low bidder, but also the fire and EMS facility having to construct that kind of brought us to this point. So therefore, staff is asking for direction.
All right, we'll go to citizens. There's 26 speakers, so I'm going to limit it to 2 minutes apiece. If you can summarize it quicker than 2 minutes, it's appreciated because we're going to be here a long time. I want to give everybody a chance to speak, though. And we can't pass time off to somebody else if you decide you don't want it. He's on this one. We can't respond to you. You can speak your mind. I'll be happy to talk to you all night after the meeting, though. Virginia Brock?
Virginia Brock, 311 Old Magnolia Road. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I think you should pick from options 1 through 3. I think you guys know whether you can spend what amounts of money it would require for any of those. I don't think you should be mixing emergency services with community center. I think it would be a distraction not only for the children but for the EMS people having to wonder if there's a child in the driveway when they get ready to blast out to take care of an emergency. And I do think that the children were promised a community center at some point. This was purchased for that purpose, and I think it should be used for that purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Dana Harvey? Like L. Sorry about that. That's a pretty common name. I should have got that one.
They just want to see you. Good evening. My name is Dana Harvey. I do live on Thrasher Lane in Crawfordville. I believe that you should choose option 1 or option 3. Option 1 would be my preference because I do feel that it is very important that we have a community center. I think it's very important that we have the YMCA run it. There are several reasons. I personally hope that at some point we do have a pool.
She just left it.
There were 3 of them. They're all... Marina, stand up. No, stand up. Stand up. You'll notice that they're all wearing swim team shirts because they are on the swim team in Tallahassee. Now, I know that the plan doesn't include a pool at this point, but I do think a gym is important. I think it's important to have a place where we can have community activities. And again, it's my hope that we have a pool one day because all 3 of these kids are on the swim team, and if they continue and they get in high school, our high school doesn't have a swim team. They will be going to another school, and it won't be in Wakulla County. So I just want you to consider, again, option 1 or 3. Those would be my personal preferences. And I do feel like there are a lot of good reasons to have them. And I won't go through the whole list today. But I do agree with Ms. Brock that having the EMS and other services there is not appropriate. I agree that it will potentially be a danger to kids if they get in the way.
I'm sorry, say that again? Okay, so I do want you to think about that when you make your decision. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kennedy Nelson?
Kennedy Nelson from 130 Cathy Ann Drive. I believe I would go with option 3. Just like in Tallahassee, there's there's 2 community centers, Jack McLean and Paul Monroe. They have games, basketball, gym inside. They have computers, tutors to help you with your homework after school. They have a food bank for kids who usually don't get food every day. They have food there. And they have summer activities, more activities than we have in school. Thank you.
Thank you. Simon Nelson?
And I was Simon Nelson, 130 Cathy Ann Drive. And I guess we're doing the same thing as run around in a circle. And you guys know I'm an advocate of the kids, and I'm always say the community center. I told you before, we never had one growing up. You guys, if you from here, you never ever had anything like this. So my whole thing is, my son, instead of have to take him to Jack McLean to swim, take him to Paul Monroe, any of those things for basketball camps, all those things I have to run to Tallahassee. You guys know how gas is right now. We need it. I mean, the money's for our kids. Let's use it. I don't think when you guys wrote the grant, and nothing against EMS or EMT, that wasn't included in the deal. I mean, it was all about our kids. They gave you money specifically for our kids. So let's use it specifically for our kids. I mean, it's we need to stop doing this. I understand you may have an agenda coming in, but I do think before you came in office, our kids were there. So with that coming in, knowing that our kids were there, and finally you guys have the opportunity, the only board ever in Wakulla County history of your existence can actually do something for the kids specifically. Community center that has never been here. I mean, if you want to call a book on community center one back, but that's not one that was for a really center. And so I mean that's about the only thing I can think of back in my day. So let's do something. We have a central location. It's a great spot. So finally, it's here, and let's just man up and do what we're supposed to do, or should do. We voted you guys in, for our kids. One of the reasons we talked about our education. Those same kids that we educate, we want them to stay here during the summer. If I want to put my money somewhere to spend in the summer, I want to be in my county. I shouldn't have to pay, Jack McLean $200-something a month for my kids. I'd rather be done here. So, I mean, if that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. If we have to pay a little extra, fine. My kids are worth it. I told you guys before, our kids are investments. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mike Stewart?
Thank you for letting me to speak. I want to make sure that you guys understand that we don't need to convolute the two. They need to be two separate issues. One is we need a fire station and an ambulance station, which we all agree, and that can's been kicked down the road for years. And we need a community center. I haven't always been a proponent of the community center, but I am now a staunch supporter of the community center and believe it should be there. We spent all that money to buy that facility for that purpose, and we've promised the good people of this county that we were going to have a community center. Let's don't snatch that rug out from under them now. Now, of the options you guys have, I think you need to have some hybrid between number 2 and 3, and open the facility with the minimal things that you can run right now. But remember, commissioners that are sitting up there when I was there, one of the things we did, we upped the fire MSBU, looking to the out years that's what we're going to use the money for. You need to keep all fire and EMS facilities within that fund. That's what that fund is for. That's what the good people of this county pay into that fund for, with the expectation that we're going to build fire facilities, we're going to build, and we're going to buy fire trucks to outfit those facilities. So I say to you tonight, please keep them separate from one another, and don't even convolute the two. When you start doing that, if you start talking about going and building that facility over there with a fire and ambulance, we're going to do away with 22 acres of valuable property that can be expanded on. You got to have a vision for what's coming 20, 30, 50 years from now. And what you guys do with that facility tonight is going to have an impact far removed from when we're all dead and gone. So please have a vision for that first, for the young people, and build a facility that they can use. Can we afford a Taj Mahal? No, we can't afford option 1. But we can afford an option 2 and 3 right now to get going. Please consider that.
Thank you, sir. Laura Bentley?
Hello, I'm Laura Bentley. I live at 4282 Coastal Highway. I've been a proponent of this community center from the beginning, and I really think that option 3, along with some of the things from 2, should be recommended. I'm very upset that 5 is even being considered, that taking it off altogether with all the work that's been put on here. I have not only 3 children in the community, and we keep talking about the children, but this is a community center for everybody, adults, seniors, and the children. This is for adult programs, this is for senior programs, and I want to see this move forward. And EMS has its own place, not in this building. Thank you.
Thank you. David Damon?
David Damon. I'd like to echo what's been said here tonight. I think Mike Stewart summed it up well. Don't convolute the two. You made a promise to the citizens. You made a promise to these kids. Richard, you've told me before that you're going to stand up for the kids. You'll do what you can for scouting. We don't get a dime for scouting. We've got some scouts here tonight.
I fully support the kids and the scout.
Well, I hope your vote reflects that tonight, because options 1, 2, and 3 are the only ones that should even be discussed tonight. This shouldn't even be coming up in front of the board for discussion, these others. I mean, I find it very disturbing that we have to fight so hard for what has been promised and what has been developed and all the efforts people have put into this, and all of a sudden you guys decide you need a little space for this or that, and you want to expand government further, and you want to just take it away like that. It's wrong on so many levels that you can even have that option, but here we are. You could vote tonight and just take it away from these kids. Their future, as far as a pool goes, as far as trails go, for the adults that want to get there and do activities. All that gone just by the stroke of your pen tonight. And we shouldn't have to be here fighting for this. You should be standing up for us and doing what's right and what was promised, and make that a community center in its entirety. Don't be splitting it up, because this is a long-range vision that we're developing here. And this is your legacy tonight that you're voting on. And if you choose to water it down, give it away, something like that, that's your legacy. And I think it's a shame to even be considering doing any of that. We should be moving forward with this, and we should be making it happen for these kids. Mine's too old to really be able to enjoy any of this. He'll be going off to college, but these other kids, these latchkey kids after school that come home every day, no parents there, what are they doing for 3 hours while they're waiting on mom and dad to come? Bobby Pierce, the school board, has said they support this. They'll run buses, they'll drop kids off, and parents can pick them up. It has so much to offer, so please do the right thing. Thank you.
James Vice?
I'm James Vice. I live at 133 Broken Bow Trail, and I'll keep it short and sweet here. As both a father and a member of the healthcare community down here, I'd love to see a community center down here. I'd hope that you guys choose between 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chuck Hess?
Chuck has a new hat.
It's my upscale hat.
It's a clean hat, Chuck.
So, Chuck Hess speaking for CCAL tonight. Now, you made a promise years ago when you purchased this land that we would have a community center.
It's an excellent location because it's central to the Crawfordville, and we have this vision of having a Crawfordville community, a Crawfordville that's involved, a Crawfordville that has, businesses that are thriving. And to do that, you need to attract people into the Crawfordville Town Center, Crawfordville area. And this is your basic keystone to build something that will attract people into town to spend their leisure hours, to spend their time. That's why you want to have a community center there. That's why you want to have activities for for young, old alike in this area for the good of the community as a whole. To waste this 23-acre site on an EMS station where you have very conflicting activities between the community center and the EMS station is a real mistake. So I'm hoping you vote for either 1, 2, or 3 so you progress down the road to a community center. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Leah Key?
Lee Key, 50 Sioux Lane. You'll have to bear with me. I'm going to have to downsize my opinion here. I agree and stand in support of the development of a youth community center at the existing church building on Shadeville Highway, a community center we so desperately need for our youth who have no safe, fun place to go when not in school, a place to hang out, so to speak, or express themselves and have activities. If we don't utilize what we have at our disposal right now, we'll be doing our youth an injustice. What parent hasn't said, I wish they'd get off the computer or off the phone? What child has said, there's nothing to do, I'm bored, there's nothing here? What parent hasn't said, I wish they'd go outside, they'd socialize, they'd talk to their friends, get out from behind the computers? We need a safe place for our kids to hang out, a place where they can belong. A place for the less fortunate teens who can't afford to play sports at the rec park, those without transportation, a place to gear their talents in the right direction instead of less desirable directions. Furthermore, this site provides a chance to get the youth involved in the creation of the community center to express their creativity for not only them, but also the future youth to come. If we don't do this now, then when? Tomorrow? The day after tomorrow? Next year? Tomorrow could be too late in more ways than one. Thank you for your time and letting me, a concerned citizen, a mom, and an aunt to multiple teenagers that are brought here tonight, to speak on this matter at hand. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Devlin?
Good evening, Commissioners. Tim Devlin, 21 Equine Drive. I, speaking on behalf of the recently configured Community Center Advisory Group. I'm the rookie on the team. And we met Thursday. It was the first opportunity we had to really discuss this matter. So we didn't have the ability to scrutinize the 7 options in any great detail. But it's clear that the group feels very strong that the board should continue to pursue its current path and promise, if you will, to build a full-fledged community center to promote activities for our kids. That's our greatest asset. We had some discussion about the complexities of trying to mix fire and EMS concerns. I know you have those concerns, and they're tough issues to deal with, but to try to mix those concerns with the community center goals would be disastrous, we felt, because you have safety concerns. I think somebody articulated you have to be worried about the kids when the ambulance speeds out. You also compromise in the effectiveness of all the programs in doing that. So I think it's fair to say, I can speak for the group, that we think it's a bad idea to mix those concerns. I cannot recommend a particular option because we didn't have the opportunity to review them as a group, but myself, I would say it should be a blend of 2 and 3, only because option 1 we could not be funded with today's budget. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. John Spicer?
John Spicer, 25 Erie Drive here in Crawfordville, and pastor at Christ Church Anglican. Just a simple moral point. The true measure of the greatness of any civilization is the treatment it defers to its vulnerable and most needy. And if there was ever a case in which we really had the chance to be a true civilization and truly support those who are most important to us, namely our kids, this is a chance to do so. So I'm hopeful, as has been said much better than I so far, but those combination of either 1, 2, or 3 seems to me to make the most sense, and that would communicate, I think, to the community and to our kids especially, that we really do want to put them first. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Emily Smith?
Don't forget your iPhone.
Emily Smith, Stop Chopping. Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to speak on this issue, and everyone has so eloquently expressed my sentiments, so I'll just reiterate. I'm not sure that we can afford option number 1, even though it may be ideal, so I would suggest number 2 or 3, or perhaps a combination. And I absolutely respect and am grateful for the initiatives to look at creative ways to save money and to take advantage of the buildings that we do have, but trying to combine the 2 facilities is not logistically ideal or prudent, and it's also sort of a violation of a good faith investment in what is the community center supposed to be. That site was purchased for that purpose. It's ideal for it, the amount of space, and to say that we're going to do a hybrid just for the sake of compromise to try to combine those facilities, I think would be a detriment to future use and expansion and growth of a community center. We don't mind starting out small and modest, but to lose the integrity of that site as we have it now, I'm not sure that we could recover from that. So a lot of us in the county, more than who are here tonight, young, medium, and old, are waiting with our hearts in our laps that we can do the right thing here and move on to fire and EMS, which are in grave need as well, and that we can focus our same cost-saving and creative efforts there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Harris Johnson? Now it's your turn.
I'm Harris Johnson. I live 19 Anchors Way. I've been paying taxes on property down here ever since 1971. Have no children that went to school here. All mine went somewhere else. But I didn't live here then. I rented property. Now I live here, have a house. But my problem is the fire station. We got volunteer firemen. They're very good. I like volunteer. I retired from the fire department 33 years. I like volunteers. They work hard, and they do things for you, and they work when they get to a fire. But if you put a volunteer, I want to put a volunteer station on my property, but it won't count me any points. I still pay $1,000 a year for fire protection on my insurance. Volunteers do not count one thing. You have to have full time, because a volunteer may be at work, he may be off the beach, maybe somewhere else. So you can't count on a volunteer station to have anybody there to drive the truck. Even if they carry it home, they may not be home. Maybe at church. So you need to put a fire station somewhere in town, where as we get to the business and stuff, because we just have one volunteer fire station. One volunteer man station. They won't count me anything because I don't live in a mile of it. Now, I don't know how y'all plan it. EMS and volunteer, where you go, you put the trucks in the bottom and the people in the top. I'll show you how to build a nice fire station with your chief office and all that. It won't cost as much as y'all gonna build. All right, I guess my 2 minutes up, but I'd like to meet each one of y'all and talk to you about it and explain some things about the fire department and the EMS. They need to be together. Thank you.
Thank you. John Trash?
John Trice, 35 J&K Lane. I'm going to do something to manage the floor of most people. I'm going to agree with Mike Stewart for the first time in my life.
Is this being taped? Okay.
He was 100% right. This land was bought for the kids of Wakulla County. It should be used for the kids of Wakulla County. Years ago, once upon a time, I was young and lived in Stop Chopping. I was in the Scouts, and we ran a skating ring in Stop Chopping. And people talk about, well, this place here is out of the way for most of the kids in Wakulla County. It's not. When we ran that skating ring and Sop Choppy, we had kids from all over this county drive to Sop Choppy and go skating because it was the only thing in the county they could do. Either go swimming in the river or drive down there and go skating because that was the only recreation they had. It didn't cost much, cost the Boy Scouts running. That's how we made our money. And it's the same thing with this place. If y'all give it to the kids for recreation and don't take it away from them and give it to firemen, they'll get to it. Some way they'll get to it. Families will drop their kids off at a good, decent place and let the kids play. But if you turn it into a fire department and all that, which we need fire departments, I agree with you wholeheartedly. But we can build it somewhere else. We up in taxes all the time. We can do it with a little more, I guess, and pay it, because that's one of the reasons y'all talking about people leaving this county. That's one of the reasons our taxes are getting outrageous. And another thing that I wanted to speak about, our taxes, that 7% we're paying now, the people up in the northern part of the county is not paying that much. It's getting stuff from Tallahassee on Leon County's lines. But we need to keep this for the kids of Wakulla County. My kids won't ever use it, they're all grown. But my grandchildren will, and they will certainly enjoy it.
Thank you, John.
So, please keep it for the kids.
You, Taylor?
You, Taylor, Dr. Martin Luther King Road. I suggest, if you want a vote for somebody's thing, options 2 or 3. I do believe the elections, part of the elections were, elections recently passed were Texas Community Center. And I think you got your answer from the public on the community center. With options 2 and 3, there's no heavy capital cost. Someone, I don't know if it was Sue or somebody, mentioned creative ways to save money. As I understand, some of the objections to the buildings are the lack of fire suppression. And I think with volunteer labor, etc., that's a problem that could be done fairly inexpensively. Capital costs we have to stay away from. I grew up in Tallahassee when Tallahassee wasn't quite Tallahassee. Dirt baseball field, dirt basketball courts, dirt football fields. Didn't kill me. But it was there, the land was there to be used. YMCA is wonderful. It's a wonderful organization. My kids went all through there, and it works. Now, Commissioner Moore mentioned Wakulla Schools as a draw. What do you think Tallahassee's Recreation Department is as far as a draw? Tremendous draw with how they have developed. But believe me, I was setting pins in Lafayette Park because they didn't even have an automated pin setter, but they had 2 lanes. You know, I don't know what they have now, but I'm sure something a lot better. And for the life of me, I can't reconcile the history of a community center that so many people have been involved with for so long, and all of a sudden it's fire and EMS. So it's my 2 or 3 cents. But one of the items was that community center, and you got your results in the election just passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Arts? Well, this is going to be a challenge for you, Ms. Arts.
Commissioners, this property was purchased for a community center complex for our children. There's to be a large playground, indoor and outdoor courts for basketball, volleyball, swimming and wading pools, walking, biking, skating trails, open field areas, picnic spots, frisbee golf, foursquare, tetherball, horseshoes, community gardens, after-school enrichment and recreation programs, summer camps, a teen center, health and fitness programs, arts and craft classes, an electronic branch library, a canning kitchen, and one day, if we really plan it wisely, we may be hosting basketball tournaments and regional swim meets at this site. This complex will grow as our county grows, and it can do so with grants and private fundraising, not taxpayer dollars moving forward. Now, when we are on the cusp of making this dream a reality, some of you want to steal one of the buildings away from our kids and plop fire and EMS stations onto the middle of the property. Commissioner Thomas writes that this proposal will give everyone a piece of the pie and will improve on what we have and will live within our means. Solomon seems a better analogy to me, and you're fixing to kill the baby. The fire chief and YMC director have both advised that these are incompatible uses. If you insist on the plan that was discussed at your last meeting, you'll kill this site for a community center. We all agree that our firefighters and EMS folks need new facilities. 2 weeks ago, the fire chief presented a concept for a different site. You said it's too expensive and didn't like the financing plans. But why is your only solution to steal resources from our kids? Why haven't you done a thorough analysis and considered other alternatives for fire and EMS? Why not combine fire and EMS buildings with the sheriff's annex, or give them more than half of the administration building? Community center has been carefully developed. Multiple sites, delivery models, financing schemes were fully considered. We have a great plan. Next fall, the center will begin to offer great programs. And my recommendations to you, I've written out. Basically, reject options 4 through 7. 1 would be wonderful, but I think a hybrid of 2 or 3 that you develop in collaboration with the Y is probably the way to go.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Robert Phillips, Roberta, change that real quick. Yeah, real quick.
Robert with an A on My name is Roberta Phillips. I live at 55 Edgewood. I think by now you gentlemen know how most of us feel. We understand what you're trying to do for the fire department and the EMTs, and we hope that sometime that will happen for them because they deserve it. But the children, that's what it's all about. And you have 3 options. 1, maybe with grants, and 2 and 3, the best of both. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am. Sue Damon?
I have to say, I'm just really so impressed that this many citizens came out here tonight and that we all feel so strongly about this. I'm just, yay us. And I'll say that I just can't imagine this board voting any other way than 1, 2, or 3. That would just really, really surprise me. Lynn Arts mentioned something about sports, that we might be able to have sporting events here. You know, sports is one of the biggest growing segments in terms of tourism and getting people into communities. I had written out a few things here, but basically, I'm not going to go through it. A community center brings a community together, and we need all that land there so that as our county grows, that this community center can grow as we do. So, and I too was shocked, and my husband, that we agreed with Mike Stewart tonight. So, thank you all.
It's on tape. Anybody like a copy, do a public records request. You can watch it yourself. Gil Damon?
Gil Damon. Thank you, Commissioners. I am Junior Assistant Scoutmaster in Troop 8. I am Wakulla High School Student Government President. I think it's pretty obvious, tonight, the public sentiment on the community center issue, and I'd just like to express my support for options 1, 2, or 3.
Thank you, sir. Mike Gorski? No, I hacked that one up. That was pretty close.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Mike Gorziski. I live at 297 County Line Road. I am physically challenged. I am not eligible, sorry I can't pronounce it correctly, to participate with Special Olympics. I want to learn to do what I can for myself. The community center run by the YMCA can help me learn to shoot baskets and kick balls. Now I have no place to go in the evenings except to watch movies and play video games. Please help me. And I like option 1 and 2.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Jim Heiler?
You know, what more can be said? Everything's been said, but I've got a couple to throw at you anyway. Just a couple. Father John even took my ending away. Thanks, John. Okay. Here's something seriously, very seriously to think about. You've heard from parents who transport their children to Tallahassee. I've done that for 7 years. It's very expensive. I would much rather have had him here. Much rather. But you didn't have what he needed. This is kind of the point of no return for the community center, as it's been promised for years. Will you be forever known as the commission that turned their backs on the family and children of Wakulla County to build a parking garage for the fire trucks? Or will you be remembered as the commissioner who stepped up and did the right thing for our county and our children? Your decision will affect the future of many, many people. Don't make this county wait another 30 or 40 years to have a community center. My God, how can you dare even think about that? You know, I always try to look at people's motivation of why they would do things, of why someone would bring up taking this away from our children once it's been promised and it's here waiting for us. You know, I can come up with a lot of those things. Is it because you've never had a community center to grow up with? Is it because your children didn't have a community center? I've read in some of our local publications that said, my kids never went to the library, so why should we have a library? Isn't that ridiculous?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Tess Cortez?
Hi, I'm Tess Cootsey, 551 Seminole Lane, Cootsey.
Got that one wrong, sorry.
That's okay, close enough. You didn't call me anything indecent. That's good. You're going to sound like a great big ditto here. I'm advocating also for options 1, 2, or 3. Don't even want to consider the rest. I have spared you from dragging my 6- and 7-year-old up to the podium here, so you owe me one. But they are precious to me. As this gentleman and several others have said, we, several of us we're attracted to this county for the wonderful school system. However, we have to travel to Leon County in order to get some of the great extracurricular activities, and it is very costly, and not everyone is able to afford to do that. And I think some of our greatest achievers, including Dr. Hillier and Lynn Arts' son, we're guiding them elsewhere, outside of this county. I'd like to see them stay and be able to benefit from that here in their own community and have your support. And I know that we have at least those two great minds, Dr. Hillier and Dr. Lynn Arts, who I know for a fact would be more than happy to help find resources, and they're more than capable of doing that, grant funding and whatnot. I myself, and I know plenty of others, are more than willing to pitch in, you know, and pay a little here and there and what we can to make this work, and volunteer and whatever we need to do to support it. But let's not let our children down, please.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Bruce? Ms. Campbell, I'm saving you for last.
Might say the same things. Commissioners, thank you for your service, as always. I'm speaking to you tonight as the president of the Coalition for Youth, and for a number of years, which I don't quite understand all the number of years, but this issue has been before the Coalition for at least the last couple of years. The Coalition has strongly supported the need, and I think when we talk about needs, I can go down a list. We need better ball fields at Meadowlark Park for our kids not to have to go somewhere else to play Dixie Youth League. We need better concession stands. We need better bathroom facilities. We need our parents not to have to bring their own ant killer to baseball games. We need better fencing for our kids so an errant ball won't hit one of them when they're out down there off the side edge of the fields. We also need, I think, in a holistic way, a healthier community that obligates itself to its youth. And I think, given the opportunity, both politically and business-wise, if we look at the larger picture of opening up opportunity for moms and dads to keep their kids here, bring people to our community to participate in organized athletics and activities, expand on that opportunity with the coming TCC campus, expand on that opportunity with biking trails, canoeing activities, and what the environment of this county has and offers to the world. It holistically comes together as a long-term vision for a future of this county, both from employment, keeping kids here, expanding opportunity here, and bringing tourism and bringing business and increasing school opportunities, education. It just all fits when you provide for youth. And if you see that holistically and you see that opportunity, it's a win-win. From a standpoint, I'm ill-advised on whether I tell you you've got enough money to do any of these, or how you're going to take care of the fire department, which it scares me not to have my firemen coming to my house if I need them. But given the opportunity to take care of the youth, a lot of things will follow. And I do believe, and I trust the people in this audience who've spoken passionately are offering their help, are offering some time to bring programs and opportunities and development of a good start, looking at your first few options.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Good evening. Thank you. I am Gail Campbell, 34 Connie Drive, and I'm speaking as an individual, and I am so awestruck by all of the folks who've come before me tonight. And I've had conversations with most of you about this subject, and I stand here, you know, perplexed that here we are for, I think, almost 5 years in the making of a community center, and here we are today debating it one more time. And I'm thinking that if the past 5 years are any indication of where we're going to be going from this point forward in 5 years hence, there's going to be a whole lot of things that will change, even based on the passion that was presented to you tonight. Now, having said that, what my experience with the community center has been, I have from the beginning thought that the community center is not just about kids, although we've got 7,000 kids in this county under the age of 18. And our schools do a brilliant job. What we know, though, is that the Coalition uses this mantra a lot. Healthy kids come from healthy families live in healthy communities. And what we know about Wakulla County is Wakulla County is not healthy. And that the Operation Santa, my most recent experience as a gift from this county and this county commission, using and being in that facility every day with 600 volunteers and supporters helping with Operation Santa, taught me that that sense of place that is the community center is the heartbeat of what happened during the holiday season. And this community came together in a way that was awesome to support a cause, but in the supporting of that cause, they supported one another and came to know one another and knew joy and knew shared sadness and helped others carry loads. So I know, I'll hush. All I'm saying is this, that I believe that the community center, the dream and the vision that Leonard spoke so eloquently about is there, and it's very real. What has happened in the most recent times is that it's a brilliant resource that now houses the sheriff's office in the annex, but it is a brilliant resource that should have been used from day one. And if the first building is going to be renovated, then finding a use for the second building, whether it's having, offices over there, I don't know. You guys have a big dang job. You know what the tax dollars are. You know what the revenue stream is. All I'm saying is that, like everyone else who's spoken here, our kids, all 7,000 of them under the age of 18, need opportunities for their pro-social development. It is critically important, and what we do as a community does speak to the biblical, the scripture that Father John quoted a moment ago. So thank you, gentlemen. You have a hard job. Good luck.
Thank you. I really hate to do this to everybody. Hold on. We're all going to have a clear head. I know 3 of us at least need to go get a little more room in it. So it'll take about 2 minutes and let us use the bathroom.
Let all the old guys go to the bathroom.
There he is. All right, we're back in session. Jerry, you go ahead.
Goodness. First of all, I agree with everything everybody has said here tonight. Second of all, I'm probably going to go out on a limb a little bit. Against all advice that people have given me, I'm still going to go out on a limb because it's what I believe. The community center option number 7 is my option. Having said that, I would like to read a little bit so I don't leave anything out. I'm privately working on a plan at this very moment to accommodate a community center, a rec park with a pool, softball, football, soccer fields, all of them together in one location that will let us carry forward with tournaments, have facilities that are big enough to accommodate soccer tournaments, softball tournaments, baseball tournaments. It would have a pool. It would be a multiple-purpose recreation community center area. It would be big enough to accommodate all this, and it would do it all down the future for the next bunch of years. I don't wish to piecemeal this community center. It would, as it sits right now, it's a temporary base. It would not accommodate a tournament facility for soccer. It would not accommodate a tournament facility for softball, baseball, any of those things. We need to put together a facility that will accommodate all these parts in one location, and it needs to be in the north part of the county. The southern part of the county has the Medark rec section. The northern part of the county needs recreation, so the mothers don't have to make 10 trips down to Medark Park. I do believe that we need a community center. I just don't want to piecemeal this. The fire and EMS, probably not anyone here would want to go to sleep in the fire and EMS stations. They're an absolute mess. It's sad, but our fire trucks are sticking out the end of the buildings. To do this, To do this, in my opinion, is a waste of taxpayers' money. That's my opinion. That's why we make the big bucks. Thank you.
Well, obviously, this came up from the last meeting, and at that meeting, we were presented with borrowing $1 million for a fire facility. And that's the main thing that I was opposed to, is taking our county deeper in debt and putting that additional burden on our taxpayers. I'm fairly flexible with any of these other options. My goal and what I think the mandate for the folks that elected me is to lower our taxes and to not take us deeper into debt, to build our reserves, and I said that all along, and it resonated with people. And so some folks, I think, want to say that I'm against a community center, and I'm not, and I never have been, and not trying to rob anybody's future. I'm just trying to make sure we have a sound future for everyone going forward. So I'm completely fine with considering any of these options as long as we can do it with the amount of money that we have. I just think that's wise. I think that we still have very little reserves. We still have, one or two disasters away from taking that money away. We don't know if we're continuing to be in a declining market, and we're going to continue to have decreased in ad valorem taxes. We still don't know how these new FEMA flood maps are going to change, are going to affect us economically. I don't know if everyone realizes, but there's approximately 20,000 parcels in this county, and about 9,000 of them are going to be affected by this change, which means, I can already show you a laundry list of properties that contracts have fallen apart and people are refusing to buy when they were already under contract and ready to buy. So eventually that's going to affect value, and that's going to affect ad valorem taxes. So we're going to always have to operate on what we have. I'm not trying to sing the song and dance, but I think it's important that we start doing that, and let's operate in what we have. I think option number one, that would be the best situation, because it's just done. It's just move in ready, but the problem is it's going to take us about $600,000 to do that. So for me, that's not a good option. Option number two, I want to make sure that everyone understands that will make the facility ready to operate, but no gym facility, but it's going to be ready to operate. Option number three, we'll have the shell of what can be the gym at some point, but I don't know if it was clear. Option number three is going to give us an unfinished shell. There'll be a dried-in building and a concrete slab, and we'll still need to round up probably $600,000 at some point to finish it out. So my preference, if we're going to move forward with just a community center and take the fire and EMS out of the picture, I'm leaning more toward option two, because we move in and we're not committing ourselves to additional expenses, and we can make the best of what we have right now. We can give a good facility for our kids without burdening the parents, the taxpayers, and them too, maybe the children also, depending on how long it takes to pay back if we do start borrowing money. But I'm leaning toward option number two. Everybody knows I'm not afraid to voice my opinion and go out on a limb, so I'm going to do it here again tonight. I am willing to go for option number two, but give us a means of possibly upgrading it to option number one. I keep hearing everybody say, we're all in. We're willing to do whatever we can to make this thing work. Let's see if we're all in here. I'm going to put a challenge out to everybody. I believe if we operate a facility and the YMCA operates it, typically there's fees that go along with that. I think what we need to do is let's find out if we have full buy-in from the community, and let's pre-sell memberships in this facility. And I'm just throwing a number out there just for sake of conversation. Let's say it's going to cost $100 a year to be a member and take advantage of these facilities. I'll tell you right now, I'll put up the first $100. I'll be the first member. Now, what that does for us, if we can get buy-in from the community, if we can get buy-in from only 10% of the population, we'll generate $300,000. 10%. If we can't get 10% buy-in, we really have to question whether or not this is a viable option. We have to remember that this whole survey was created with the input of 700 people, and I'm not discounting that because I think that was a good sample of what the people want, so I think that was good. But if we can move forward and get buy-in from 10% of the population, we've got $300,000 extra on the table. I'm committed. I'll upgrade from 2 to 1, and we'll figure out how to fund this entire thing and have the gym too.
My personal, I'm just going to go in line here, guys, if that's all right. I personally prefer 3, and that's, I think we're starting to get a little closer together. Jerry is, of course, not getting closer, but that's all right. We can't agree on everything, otherwise we're not doing our job. And let me tell you how I arrived at option 3 is, I've been over this many times, and I thought it was actually a good idea to put the fires, I'll use those office space, and then I got to think, well, we got to have a place for the fire trucks to park. If we put it attached to the building, that place is forever going to be a firehouse. 10, 15, 20 years from now, it'll be a firehouse. And I thought, well, why don't we put the building we're going to store the fire trucks in on maybe the northwest corner of the property, across from the Public Works office, and we could convert that in the future, put those sleeping quarters there, and move them out. Well, it's too far away from that, from the community center building. It needs to be closer. So I kind of evolved to the point where if we're going to put it right across the road from the Trice Lane site, why not just move it over to the Trice Lane site and leave the community center area as it is? And I like option 3 because we can go ahead and get the gym built. We start with something, and we can work on grants or community involvement or whatever to move it forward. But we got something, and I think that's a better way to utilize that money. Dave and I met with Sperry, who was a low bidder, basically, cut all the fat out. What can we get for this amount of money? And this was really the most we could get. And I also think it's a telling thing that, I'd never sway my vote because of crowd response or whatever, but nobody's here opposing it, saying they don't want this. I mean, and it doesn't say everything, but it says a lot to me. So I would prefer option 3, and if we can get 2 more votes for option 3,
I'm on option 3.
We're going to go. Okay, Howard, go ahead. We're going to skip right over Richard then. Unless you want to talk.
Well, I do, yeah.
All right.
I want to say. I've been waiting on this the last couple of weeks in my mind, and I've been on both sides of this in my mind. But one thing that drives it home to me, I work in a prison. I'm a correctional officer. I spent the last 16 years every day being reminded of what happens or what can happen whenever you have someone grow up and they don't have community centers. They don't have the things that they need to get into. If they don't have something to get into, they're going to get into trouble. And I guard trouble every day. And it's as a result of this. And we're as a prison, we're more and more program-rich environment. All the statistics show the more programs that we give those inmates, the less likely they are to come back in prison. And we're presented with an opportunity here to provide the programs before they ever go. And if we can do this, whenever I've read everything that YMCA was going to bring to our county, I was excited about it. Like I said, I haven't always been a supporter of it, but whenever I read what everything that YMCA was going to be doing for us, this is a great opportunity for our county, and we don't need to miss it. So I'm going to be going with option 3, and I hope some others will as well.
Let me say one more thing, I guess, Howard, before we get to you. If we do option 3, of course, we got to figure out what to do with the fire station. My point on that is that we have budgeted, but I think we need to sit down and value engineer it with, you had a good point. We don't need to spend a $1.5 million. Now, I don't necessarily have grief with borrowing the money for something. I know that's a discussion for later.
Yeah.
But we need to, I think citizens are the most happy with their taxes when they think we're spending it wisely. And I think if we do our best due diligence to value engineer this, we can have not everything we want, but at least...
May I say something?
Sure.
Yes.
Since I've already lost my number 7, I will support number 3.
Great.
Thank you.
Howard?
Well, so let's go back over some history of this. Some person mentioned about 4 years ago, we started down this road to have a community center, and all this community center and our youth have seen in the 4 years plus has been broken promises. I don't think we should be involving ourselves with discussions of any items that include EMS and fire at this point in time. I think we should be totally focused on the community center and what it means. We already, as I understand it, have help from the school board willing to make sure buses can get to that community center. when it's up and operating.
Howard, not to interrupt, but the reason that we're even here tonight is because they were tied together. Because
Exactly. And they're still tied together in this thing that comes before us with 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I'm saying, for us as a board, can we be there that we're not even addressing 4, 5, 6, and 7 at this point? They're out of the process. And we start from there. There was a road taken. There was, there used to be priorities and a little retreat where the board would decide on the 5 most pressing or desirable issues to attack and go forward and try to do. And that's what the board did. And one of those items was the community center. And we promised the community that enough talk, we're going forward with it. Whether we purchased the property at the right price or didn't purchase it at the right price, that's a whole other issue. But we have the community center now, and it's not, in my opinion, to be chipped away at. So in preparing for this meeting, I thought of, there's 1, 2, and 3 options, which are the only options for me on the table, and I hope the rest of the board. And I wrote up a motion that's about 1,000 words. But I'm going to read it not as a motion, but just as...
1,000 words?
No. We'd have to take another break. Yeah. So I was looking at it and say, maybe a motion, maybe think about that the present land and the buildings are to be used forever into the future solely for the purposes of a community center. And the use of grant funds that are in jeopardy of being lost, if we don't use them soon, to build the shell of the future gymnasium.
Option 3.
That's option 3.
But this shell would be not enclosed. This shell would be open. And it would be used as an open gymnasium wherever the time is until we can get that facility closed. That's one.
We can afford to close it.
I understand that. Okay. But we also need to afford to put sprinkler systems in and to do other upgrades within it.
I don't think
we don't need sprinkler systems, no.
You don't need a sprinkler system?
No, as long as we don't tie the other building to it with the fire trucks.
So we can
get the enclosed building with the money, grant money we have without spending any county money.
There won't be any county money.
Okay, but the building that we have right now, the west building, does it have sprinkler in it?
No.
Do we have to put sprinkler in that?
No, sir.
Would we want to put sprinkler in that?
In the future, yes.
No. It was free, yes.
Yes, it's something we can do and we can prepare for that.
Well, what I'm saying is that some of those funds that would be saved in not enclosing that gymnasium could be used for making other upgrades within the building. I'm also suggesting that we not do the modifications in the west building that are called for on the plans, but to leave that west building as an open area, sell the church pews that are there, use folding chairs so that spaces can be converted from we could use that stage as theater, community theater, and whatever else we want to use it. We can put these chairs back into the side, and our kids can use it for acrobatics or whatever else. We don't have to go in there and put in a hardwood floor and spend all that money there. And as long as we use up the $300 and some odd $1,000, whatever it is that we have in this grant, that takes a lot of the pressure off. What are we going to do? And so what I'm saying is that, look, I'm totally with Commissioner Thomas on, I don't want to go into debt for firehouses or for anything else at this time in the economy. But I think we can get a lot of bang for our buck from creatively using our space and build that shell, have it so that basketball can be shot outside. It's not just a closed building where it's not going to be used. It's going to be used if we have it open and allow it to be that way.
I think we're really close, but I think we get more value by we can afford to enclose the building now. And I would highly recommend we go ahead and do that, because then the next thing we could get with grant money or whatever would be air conditioning, and then it would be really useful. So if anybody would make a motion for option 3, we can move on.
I make a motion that we do option 3.
What else did you need, David?
Now, if we're doing option for option 3, you need to authorize me to negotiate with the apparent low bidder, which is Sperry Construction, to do improvements and also build the facility and do any improvements with monies left over, not to exceed the fund to the HUD grant amount, which is $316,800. Also, as part of this, it is critical we can't move forward. If we're going to go this option, we need to move forward with the YMCA. And so therefore we need to move forward with that contract with the YMCA to go ahead and allow me to negotiate the contract with the YMCA. They've laid out their program needs. The East Building will be for primarily the youth after-school programming, as well as summer school programming. The West Building is for the adult-type recreational indoor facility, and the larger gymnasium multi-use center is exactly what you had talked about, Dr. Kessler, would be used not only for a gymnasium but for your plays and your facilities, and that's the way.
At some point.
At some point, that's right. At some point. So what this does is that's their model that they need to operate and be successful at operating that facility, and that's what I would recommend that you move forward with, because we want to make sure that we're setting up the YMCA to be successful.
Does anybody have any grief?
Yeah, I think I still do. And so I wasn't finished. Under 3, can we understand exactly what's going to happen inside that West Building?
The West Building under 3, as of right now, would probably be just refloored as of right now and left open. But as soon as funds are available, it would be converted to what is as currently planned on our set of plans, which is utilized and carved up for the adults. So therefore, they're serving the family. They're given the East Building is for the kids, the West Building is for the adults that bring the kids there, and then the multi-use facility is for both that come together. And it's it's larger than the sanctuary by about 2,000 square feet, where you can have exactly what you're talking about.
What is the reflooring?
Reflooring could be just carpeting. There's not much.
Is our carpeting there now bad?
Well, it was put in around the pews. That's minor. Those are minor dollars.
Okay. Well, as long as we don't, I think that community room right now is a valuable room that we should preserve. And so I'm not really, but if we're not going to be deciding that right now, okay.
This is just to move ahead with the community center.
Let me caution you. We don't need to come back to this item. We need to finish this thing right now. What we need to do is this, is if you're going to do this, let's move forward with item number 3. Allow me to negotiate the contract with Sperry, and also allow me to negotiate the contract with the YMCA. And we need to move forward with that plan, because it doesn't do me any good to get halfway constructed with that facility and under and halfway done with the contract with the YMCA, and all of a sudden we change the game on them. We need to stay steady, and we're going to steady the game. They've told us what their business model is, and we need to meet that business model.
Okay. If I could, Mr. Chairman. So I enjoy the YMCA. I've been on their board. I think first and foremost, it's not the YMCA's business model that we're concerned about, it's our youth that we're concerned about. And in my opinion, the YMCA should be able to work with the facilities that we give them. And it's our dollars that are driving this. So I'm okay with that building of the building. If you all want to have it enclosed rather than have it open and used as a basketball court for the meantime, you know, I can go with you and support that if that's the way you want to go. But I really want you to consider thinking about not losing that community room, the West Building, and chop it up into different areas.
I'll second the motion that's on the floor.
Okay, and let me ask.
I add all that to the motion that you had asked.
Hold on, there's a couple other things. Okay, if you wanted to proceed with option 3, an appropriate motion would be to proceed with option 3, accept the apparent low bidder for the community center bid that went out, authorize David to negotiate a reduced scope, and authorize the chair to execute the contract so long as it does not exceed a certain dollar threshold that you guys need to establish. And then also authorize David to negotiate with the YMCA if you want to make that a part of the motion.
Will I make that motion that we authorize David to negotiate with the YMCA and say what Heather said? And I'll second. This needs to be this motion and everything needs to be a done deal tonight. That we move ahead with this YMCA for the youth in this county.
I'll second it, but I've got a comment regarding the YMCA, and I think that we need to be very careful when we're negotiating that contract, and I hope that we can leave here tonight with you having the power to do that. But I think we need to be careful that we're not authorizing the YMCA to compete with local businesses and you know, whether it be a gym or other things that are already here, and those folks have already invested in our community and they're paying taxes here, and we don't want to take government money to come and run those folks out of business, and so I think we just need to be mindful of that if everyone's in agreement.
That was going to be my question.
Yes.
I was going to ask, and you know,
That is a concern.
I've been contacted by people about it, and what I've been assured they don't
There are two different uses.
But I want to sit down with the YMCA guy and hear him say that, and I encourage you to do the same thing, because you know the people we got to answer to that are going to say, why did you do that? And I got to have an answer.
I think all of us should have the opportunity to sit down with the YMCA people.
I think that'll be part of the project. Realize when I say I want to move forward with the contract, that'll be, I'll bring it forward quickly, and I'll bring the YMCA in here naturally to talk to each one of you, and they'll be a part of the process.
There's a very legitimate concern that the private community, the private business community, is going to be outbid or underbid by a government subsidized program. That's the concern, and that's a valid concern.
And we need to understand that there is, I mean, I don't know if the Y is going to offer any kind of daycare facilities, but to me, that would be off limits. We've got a property that is contiguous to this property, and that person spent $25,000 in impact fees for the pleasure of building that, and she provides a service. And I'm not saying that is, but I just think that we need to be careful that we're not throwing out other businesses that have worked hard to give us the services that we do have.
Yeah. Well, and I think you'd be rest assured, and I'm not advocating the YMCA, but they've worked in every community just about in the country, and I think we can carve it out to where they can work in Wakulla County.
Randy just gave me a half a minute. For all the people, all the people out there in TV land, you're probably wondering what this is going to cost you. I'm looking at an estimated total capital cost of number 3, of which we're voting on, and the reason that I'm voting on number 3, it has a big 0. There is no cost that we have other than the money we have to work with in this program. There will be an operating cost.
Now there's not, but we still have to finish it out at some
We still got to finish it out, and we still got a little ways to go on the budget. So.
But what we're voting on tonight, there is no cost on that.
That's right.
And let me say something else I've heard. Nobody's taxes are going to be raised because of this.
Nobody's.
Several people say we're going to raise our... No. This is going to be... I can assure you of that.
And we're not borrowing money either.
Not on the community center.
Yeah.
And, you know... All right, we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Is the dollar amount in the motion the $318,600?
Whatever the grant is, I think is how you...
$318,600.
Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Yeah, just a question as to whatever the pots of money that are related to public facilities.
The 1 cent sales tax, you mean?
That and with their impact fees.
Right.
Okay. Those are still there, or are they being used up in option 3?
Option 3 is only the HUD grant is being spent.
Right, those other funds are dedicated as of right now, but realize we've got to come back before the board with the use of those funds, and that's another topic for another day.
Well, but I think it may be the same topic, and I'm just concerned that those funds may be going to fire EMS and would not be going to here. They cannot?
No. 1 cent sales tax is earmarked. You can only spend it on that specific area.
Right, but the public facility is the building.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying.
So I don't want the kids to be on the short end of that stick. In other words, we're doing this is the bare bones we're doing right now. If we do it, and it looks like we're going to do it, but that other pot of money, I'm calling attention to it. I don't want it to disappear.
One of the things we'll commit, one of the things that we'll commit, that staff will commit to you is next 2 weeks, the next agenda meeting, we will be bringing back the fire station and ask you for us to move forward with the planning of the fire and EMS facility. All right? Out of that, what we want to do is further whittle it down to where we can possibly carve some of the 1 cent sales tax off of the EMS side of that and utilize over with the community center. We'll be committed to bring that back to you, and we're committed as well. If there's any other dollars, we're getting ready to relook at all of this stuff. It's time for us to look at it. All the 1 cent sales tax. We'll see if we can shift some funds over and add to this project. We'll
cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
Let's get done with this one. All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right. Anybody wants to leave, now's the time to go. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you very, very much.
Hey, Ms. Arts, we're still friends.
Let's do great things now.
Ms. Timmons.
Some water real quick.
I'm all right. How are you? Good to see you. Huh?
David, next item.
Citizens be heard.
Yeah, citizens be heard.
Sorry.
You fill out your card.
Goodness.
Chuck, yes.
I had to wait so long, I've cooled down a little bit. But basically, it's been a regular procedure. Chuck has, speaking for myself. It's been a regular policy of this board, seems to promise something in the future and as a means to distract public with criticism of their current actions. Another attempt was made tonight on the same thing. You've done the impact fees and a couple of other things where you've promised things in the future and they've never come back before the board. And I feel that that's inappropriate to continue to do that, use that technique. And if you're going to promise to bring something back in the future, I'd like to see it come back in a reasonable time frame. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles Hickman?
Charles Hickman, 528 Hickorywood Drive. Commissioners, I'm glad to hear that some of you listened to your constituents tonight. And I'm also glad to hear that some of Mr. Jones' work did not go unheeded. If you recall, Doug Jones was working on the community center for some time. And he actually took my advice because he goes to North Carolina, as do I, each year, and he went down to a little town of Hendersonville. They draw so many people into that location, tourist-wise. It's freaky. One of the things that I know Doug looked at, because he asked me about it, was the basketball court that they had for. They had the boys' club and they had a basketball court, and it was wide open except for a shelter on the top, which Mr. Kessler brought up. So I don't know where he got that idea, but I would fully support that, because I have seen that basketball court at 2 o'clock in the morning with lights bright and 25 kids out there shooting hoops. It's a place for them to go. And these are kids that didn't have any place to go. They didn't have any supervision at home, but they were out there shooting hoops. They weren't getting in trouble. Another thing is, don't be short-sighted on the community center and thinking only for children. You could have such things as a boat show, which would support our local fishing industry. You could have an antique car show. I talked to a gentleman in Hendersonville one night. They have music on Main Street. It's fantastic. They'll probably have 5,000 people that drive all the way from Tennessee. The reason I know is because the gentleman who was showing his car pulled it from Tennessee into southern North Carolina. He had 6 people with him. Where'd they stay? Where'd they eat? They had to have someplace, and he was showing his car. Now, I don't think, this is a personal opinion, I don't think that we're getting the bang for our buck for our bed tax. And the bed tax, if you call other counties, you'll find that the bed tax is what was used to build their community centers. And not only did they build them, but they continue to improve on them using part of the bed tax. Now, if that doesn't draw people, nothing will.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Damon?
Thank you. I think he left.
He left. I'm going to go get him. Just kidding. Larry Roberts? Thank you, sir. Dave Langsford?
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll keep mine short, too. I won't pass, though. I've been asked by some citizens there in Panacea that were very unhappy to come out here and let you folks know that there are some buildings down there that are deteriorating and certainly need repair. The Women's Club building, I believe, was passed to the county a few years ago. The roof is leaking on it. The fire department, the roof is leaking on that. There are a number of other places, other things that need upgrading or repair work, and they're not being done. Now, the people are getting a little aggravated, let's say, and a little upset. And if necessary, we can bring 40 people up here to voice their opinion and let you all know. And one thing they asked me to tell you was that they don't believe the county line stops at Crawfordville. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Trace?
Our facilities at Meadowlark. We'll speak to Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, our facilities at Meadowlark are pretty good. David Gray Ray Graves had a tournament down there, had 65 teams as far away as New Orleans one year. So we got pretty good ball fields. We just need to upkeep on them. So y'all voted tonight, and you did a great thing for this facility up in Crawfordville. So I wanted to point that out, that our ball fields are not that bad. We've had some super good tournaments in Wakulla County, ball tournaments. Another thing is, Dr. Kessler, there was a part this last week, or the first of the month, that a magazine that a certain man prints that said you had a bunch of puppets taken up for you in this 7% sales tax. I want that gentleman to know I'm not a puppet. I speak my mind. I got freedom of speech. So I speak to anybody up there I want to. So he needs to quit running around printing his little book and calling certain people puppets. So I thank y'all for letting me speak, and I'll see y'all again, and I will speak my mind when I come to speak to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, David.
Very good. Thank you, Chairman. This agenda item requests board confirmation of the county administrator's appointment to Mr. James Melvin for the position of chief building official. In accordance with Florida statutes and all applicable county policies, the county administrator has responsibility to select, employ, and supervise all personnel and to fill all vacancies, positions, or employment under the jurisdiction of the board. However, the employment of all department heads shall require confirmation by the Board of County Commissioners at their time of selection.
You have a motion on this item?
Make a motion that we confirm Mr. James Millman as the chief building official.
I second the motion.
No citizens to be heard. Luther Council, I think Luther left. Any discussion amongst board members?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'll start with the item itself. And so I need some clarification on this. Looks like it's changed. We got very little information other than the application and some letters of recommendation on the choice, but we didn't get to see how they were ranked and what other candidates were there. And I tried to start going over that today, but obviously not enough time. I think, though, when we're asked to confirm, we have to be knowledgeable that we agree with this choice. And it's not just that, and I'm not sure how the committee totally worked at this point either, but that the committee recommends this person. It's our job to say, well,
validate their decision.
Yeah.
I hate to disagree with you, Dr. Kessler, but I think that's exactly the reason you have a hiring committee, is to keep politics out of it. They make the decision. This is a staff level position. If we're hiring David, I agree with you 155%. But I think that has gotten past boards into jams trying to stick their nose into staff business. So I respectfully disagree with you.
Okay, well, I don't want to be in staff business then why am I being asked to vote on this?
I agree 100%. I don't think we should even have to vote on it.
Well, now by Florida statute, it says we have to. So if Florida statute is saying we have to vote on it, then I'm inferring just by implication that we have to do some kind of review. It's not our choice not to if we're going to vote knowledgeably. So the Florida state statute is saying by law we have to vote. If we have to vote, we need the information. We don't have the information as far as I'm concerned. Okay.
I guess your question, and it's a good question, is what are we voting on? Are we voting on the competency of the selection committee? Are we voting on this gentleman's resume that we think they made the wrong decision? I agree. Why are we voting on it at all? I guess the state statute says we have to. Okay, all for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
No, I'm sorry, you didn't ask for opposed.
Is there any vote against?
Yeah, I'm going to vote on technical terms against. He may be the best building commissioner we get, but I just want to vote that way because I'm disturbed with how the process is working.
Understood. Motion passes 4-1.
And Mr. Melvin is right there. Stand up, James. Thank
Welcome aboard. Well, you're from Wakulla County anyway.
Crawfordville, yep.
Where do you live at in Crawfordville?
Down at the end of J.K. Moore Road, kind of backside of Council Club, across the
I got you. Good deal.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Jessica started clapping, so everybody...
Well, that made Cleve happy because the next item is his, so we were not clapping for you, Cleve. This agenda item requests board approval to award ITB 2013-09 for the Wakulla County Water System River Tank painting and repairs, and approval of the budget amendment. We would like to staff recommendation is to award U.S. Tank in the amount of $54,575 for the tank painting to include the county logo.
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
We got a motion and a second. I'd like to pipe in on the color of the tank itself. I think this is the only time to bring it up.
Well, that's true. We don't want it pink.
I remember when that thing was first built, is the intention to paint it back the color it is, which I'm colorblind, so I'm not really the best one in the world to be talking about this, but I would assume the color of the Sop Choppies Tower, that's in there by your area, Hudson Heights, and is that a standard color for a water tower?
It's going to be a light
blue paint.
The same color it is now?
Yes.
The only thing I really never liked was the stenciled look of the Welcome to
We'll have a
Wakulla County.
professional one this time.
Yes, and I told David, make sure you can see it from a couple miles away. And, you know.
Let's put a bear on it. Put a bear or an alligator or an eagle or something up there.
That's why politicians aren't in charge of stuff like that. All right, we got a motion and a second. All four? Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
All right, we already disposed of item 15. Dr. Kessler?
Yep.
Thank you. This item originally was written to amend or eliminate ordinance 93-12 concerning zoning restrictions for Griner's addition, specifically as it relates to mobile homes. And since then, I'll go through some of the background on 93-12, which is just cutting to the short of it. In a subdivision on certain blocks, if you wanted to bring in a mobile home, you could bring it in as long as it wasn't older than 2 years. But on this other block, you can bring it in as long as it's not older than 4 years. And I don't think the county should be in that kind of business. We have zoning laws, we have, things in place in our comp plan. There are 3 actual ordinances that have these type of restrictions in them, with no homeowners association, but the Wakulla County being responsible, if they so wish, to enforce them. So they are 93-13, which is Wakulla Heights, Unit 1, and let's go back for a second. 93-13, of course, is Griner's addition. And 93-12, which is, 93-12 is Griner's addition. 93-13 is...
We'll discuss this a little bit, Howard, before you make your motion.
Yeah, absolutely. Just giving some background.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are 3 actual areas that have this type of restriction in it. And so you have somebody that's house burns down or whatever, they want to come back and put in a mobile home. You're limited as far as, where to shop, what to do. They could find a mobile home that's 7 years old, that's in good shape, they can't bring it back to their lot. I don't think the county should be defending something like that.
And the reason I want to discuss it, on first blush, this seems like a no-brainer that we should eliminate this. But then I got to thinking about all the people that have followed it over the years. They bought a nice, and it was square footage, too, right? It's at 1,200 square feet, I think. And they've got a nice 1,200 square foot double-wide home that they built in this area with these deed restrictions, basically what they are. They're county deed restrictions. And I'm not sure entirely about how they came apart. I think it had something to do with rezoning at the time. But anyway, so you've got this 1,300 square foot, and now the county's going to change the rule. They can move a 1980 whatever single wide next door to you and turn it into a rental property. That's what I would worry about.
Well, there's minimum square footage, at least on the mobile home, that's in Exhibit A on 9313 is 1,240 square feet.
It's probably going to be a double wide.
Right.
I may have a motion that'll clear all that up.
Well, this...
Yeah, well, we just discuss... No, I'm up for discussion.
We're just talking about it right now.
It's a very valid point, what you're making.
At first blush, it just seems like, yes, we absolutely need to get rid of this, but...
We just can't go, but we can't throw caution to the wind either.
Exactly. We're going to be punishing all the people that complied with it over the years and expected it to be enforced, basically, I don't know, to accommodate maybe a certain situation or a certain limited number of situations. I don't know if there's a way to rectify.
If I may, let me read my motion without making a motion. How about that?
Yeah.
I was basically, this would be the motion that I would make, is that I move to direct staff to develop an ordinance creating a new residential mobile home zoning district that requires all mobile homes to be no more than 4 years old, at time of installation and to begin the process of administrating rezoning for these areas covered under Griner's Edition ordinance, whatever, Magnolia Gardens and Wakulla Heights. It takes the three of them and puts them all together, and pretty much it puts a new zoning district that
A restricted mobile home district.
Everything stays the same, except it ties it all together, but you can't move anything older than 4 years into.
The purpose of this, I guess, is that when you buy the property, you would know that you...
That's right. Right?
No, when you bought... Right now, when you buy one in Magnolia Gardens, you don't know that special restriction.
That's right. This puts it...
Because there's no way for you to know that.
That's right.
But if the zoning, if they had a new zoning category, is what you're saying...
This gives them due notice that they can only, if they buy, it's a new zoning category, it's a sort of a pain, but anyway, it's public notice that they can put up, everything stays the same, except they cannot move anything older than 4 years into them.
It does not get rid of the restrictions, though. I mean, it gets rid of the 2-year, I guess, changes it to 4 year.
Well, a 4-year-old mobile home can be a very nice home.
Does it keep the square footage?
Everything stays the same, it's just a year.
Howard, how does that sound to you?
Well, is 4, well, I'm sorry.
No, please, it's okay. No, really, please.
Is 4 years enough? I mean, that's still a pretty new trailer. There's some trailers out there that may be 6 years or 8 years that if somebody's took care of that trailer, I think you may have a 6 or 8 year old trailer, but if it's been taken very good care of and in good condition,
you could do that with the exception of if you put it out to 6 years, you could have the bad one come in. You're not saying we'll only let 6-year-olds that really look nice. But if you say 4, you got a better chance of having...
We have a code enforcement ordinance. Whatever we put there is going to have to meet code. So,
I didn't want to, I guess I didn't want to buy surely we don't want to be moving a 20-year-old trailer in there, but 4-year-old's pretty new, and didn't want to buy someone to have to buy such a high value trailer too. They may find one for a good price at 6 years. And
well, I have no problem with 6 years. If 6 years what you.
But also keep in mind, if someone moves a trailer in there that's 1-year-old, they might be moving it next to one that is 20 years old and has been there from the beginning. Right. So just the fact that it's a 20-year-old home, we got to be careful not to throw that out.
I kind of agree with what Ralph's saying. I think the more important point is the square footage restriction.
So could you maybe summarize your position again?
Well, I'm for opening up and let people use their property as they see fit. If we tell someone you can't move a home in there that's 5 years old, and on both sides are a property that's 10 years old, that's arbitrary. That's just, Now, if we went through and we looked and we figured out what the average age of these homes are, we might could come up with a no homes prior to a certain year or something, and not offend the folks that are in there now. Because if I've got a 20-year-old home, I shouldn't be saying you can't move a 5-year-old home because you're degrading the value of my property.
I like the way Ralph's talking, because that would keep the important thing that I want to protect for the people that complied with the rule is basically the square footage thing.
What I'm trying to do is get uniformity into 3.
But he had a good point, though, because there are mobile homes that have been there for 10, 15 years, and now you're going to tell this guy, well, you can't move one in that's the same age as mine. They already have to be inspected by the building department prior to being moved.
How do we give public notice to a person who buys?
I like your idea too, which is make a new zoning category, but take the year requirement out of the zoning category.
That's fine with me.
I'm on board with that. Take the year requirement out, put the square footage in. Can we do that, council?
Uh-oh.
Now that
took way too long to answer.
No, I mean, most likely there are some state statutes that I would want to consult before we brought this back to you, but this obviously will have to come back. We're just looking for general direction tonight. If you want to direct staff to look at that issue and bring you back a proposed ordinance that will create a new restricted mobile home zoning category that contains limitations on the size of a home, but not an age.
We ought to do that tonight, pretty much.
Howard's that?
Bring it back. We keep going over it.
Well, we have to bring you back actual language to vote on, though.
Public hearing and all that stuff. Is that direction?
I'm not quite sure if it is. I like the way we're going on it. I go back to something that Commissioner Thomas said, that I'm very hesitant in a situation where we, the county, are acting as a homeowners association. I don't like us in that situation. We'd be back in that situation even on square footage, but it wouldn't be as arbitrary as the year.
Yeah, I agree. We halfway are when we say you can only build a site-built home on a piece of property. That's not homeowner association, but again, I think there was some situation with this back in the 90s whenever this was done, and I hate the people that did comply with it and spent the money. I'd hate to punish them. And Wakulla Gardens Unit 5, for example, has no restrictions. And
how do we bring all those? How do we bring all those together, where that somebody buying a lot has information of what he can do with it?
Zoning would cover that.
Well, that's what I want to do.
Well, I don't know if that's even necessary. I mean, if really, and I know things fall through the cracks, but if someone's buying a piece of property, they should check the deed restrictions. Now, if they're paying cash, frequently that doesn't happen.
I don't think it's on the deed, though.
These don't show up.
It's not a deed restriction. It's a special county ordinance that unless you knew it existed,
so
unless your title company knew
if a title company did a title search, they wouldn't find this?
They would not find
these. Well, that's certainly a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
That is a problem. I didn't realize that whenever.
All right, I think.
Well, let me start off with throwing out a motion, and then we can see if we get a second to it and see where it goes. Because my understanding is that this is problematic for the county as well. It's not just the individuals that are affected by it now. I have not gotten negative feedback, but if we pursue this and go down a road, we may get some negative feedback from some of the people in there, and then we have to evaluate that.
And we'll have a public hearing, so there'll be an opportunity.
Exactly. So I'll make a motion to eliminate ordinances 9312, 9313, and 9913.
All right, is there a second just to skip straight to eliminate?
I'll second it.
Okay. I'm going to vote against it because I don't think that protects the people that have already complied with the rules in the past. I would, however, support changing it where you take the year off and leave the things, but that's not on the table here.
Well, and if there's a real concern, we certainly need to hash that out, but I think this is going to come back for public hearing, and we need to reach out to folks to find out if there's some unforeseen circumstances, we might reevaluate.
What's going to happen, though? We're going to have a public hearing, and we're going to have people that live out there come up there and say, you've had these restrictions, I've complied with them all these years, now you're going to let a 1975 single wide move next door to my mobile home that you made me buy new? That's not fair. But if that's the way we go, that's the way we go.
I want to ask one question before then, Heather. Okay, if we voted over this and then we have a public hearing, we've got a little, and if we do away with restrictions, then we have a public hearing, then we reimpose them in some other form. I mean, would we be able just to keep what we've got? Do we have the public hearing and then do it all at one time?
If it's a substantial change, it's got to be a new public hearing altogether.
Yeah, the process that this would have to go through is direct staff to do an administrative rezoning of these areas. You're not going to just have one public hearing, you're going to have two because of the size of it. There's going to be one at Planning Commission, two BoCC public hearings on this issue. You will have, at any opportunity when you are voting, you could vote not to proceed based upon the input that you got from the affected property owners and other interested parties. So you would have at least two opportunities to put the brakes on it and stop it. If you wanted to, at that time, maybe change it a little bit, not eliminate it, but modify this, or this, you could do that. Likely we would have to start and go back to planning and start the process over. But
can we possibly, whereas somebody's been required to buy a late model mobile home and to keep us from putting an earlier model mobile home next to that, could we possibly take each one of these individuals and each section individually and just give notice? Is there a way of putting notice on record so when they buy in this area that they know without changing anything? But to give notice.
That doesn't change the year requirement.
Well, it doesn't. I don't want to change anything except I just want the buyer to have notice when he buys.
Well, the way you would have to do that is you would have to still do a rezoning. You could rezone and impose the exact same restrictions, but we need this to show up in the zoning maps. And right now, if somebody looked online or went down and just looked at the zoning map and didn't notice the special sign that said check here, they're going to see RMH zoning, not RMH with restrictions. So we could accomplish that, but we'd have to create 3 new zoning districts.
Well, that would be my solution. It's a pain to do that, but with 3 new ones, we don't change anybody's. If we required somebody to have a new one, we don't. Everything stays the same. Everything stays the same except we just provided notice.
All right, before we go on to citizens, our motion, our second, are standing. This is the road y'all want to proceed down? Just eliminate it altogether?
I mean, I think so, because we have opportunity to come back and make a change if we need to. I would say Commissioner Kessler has pointed out 3 different ordinances that address this. You know, does this situation exist anywhere else? And maybe not even specifically to mobile homes. Are there other what appears to be deed restrictions but you couldn't find in a normal title search? Does that exist anywhere else? Because it sounds like, you know, we need to make consistency, make this match the rest of the county, unless there are other examples.
Well, there's at least two other neighborhoods that have that we know of, and I'm with you guys. And this is reversing my position a little bit. We need to get, the county doesn't need to be in the covenant business.
Right. I just want to give notice.
Right. Well, we need to give, but we don't need to be in the covenant business. It's hard enough as it is, especially without a hidden covenant like that. It's not picked up. That's a private developer thing that, you know, that should be taken care of there. So
I don't believe outside of the 3. When this item came forward, we did pull back and do a search and picked up the other 2. And to my knowledge, there are not any others out there.
Again, on the surface, it seems like a no-brainer, but it's really punishing the people that have complied with the rule over the years. Otherwise, I agree with David 100%. We should never have been in this situation in the first place.
That's right.
Gina Rudd?
Speaking of people that complied, we did. Unfortunately, our house burned down, our mobile home. Now we can't bring in a home that's newer than the one that burned down. So we complied. It's not really fair to us. So, I mean, I see what you're saying. It's not fair to the people that complied, but, I mean, I don't see eliminating this, creating a trailer park instance, or I don't see junky trailer parks coming up because this is eliminated. I 100% agree with Ralph. How can I not move in a 2009, never lived in mobile home nicer than the stick-built homes in that same neighborhood? How can I kept my mobile home looking brand new for over 10 years before it burned down, and it was still nicer than the stick-built homes in that neighborhood? So think about that too. When we think about people that complied, just because they complied with the restrictions doesn't mean they upkept their home anyway. And I agree with 100% with Kessler too. It's not your place to further dictate. And you brought up the last meeting that you think that that place was zoned, or that neighborhood was zoned for stick-built homes anyway, or first to begin with, and then the ordinance was brought in to allow mobile homes. It was not. It was the other way around. It's always been RMH1, which has restrictions already, and it has to pass inspection. So if it's a 1985 dumpy single wide, it's not going to pass inspection. It's just...
I think we can solve it by just recreating zoning and leave everything else the same, just the way you bought, everybody else bought.
Just the way I bought, everybody else bought? I don't understand.
Gary can confuse people sometimes.
I'm confused. I can't buy the same way I bought before. Is that what you're saying?
The motion on the table right now is just to get rid of all the restrictions, all of them. That's the motion.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I just want to be sure, are we going through all this grief to help one situation out? Because we're talking spending a lot of money for attorneys to change a rule. If we're doing this for one person, we need to really think about that. There's no way to get a variance. I mean, there's nobody can because what she said makes perfect sense, that you should be able to replace your home you had.
I don't disagree that makes perfect sense, but that's not how the zoning ordinances read right now.
So, I mean, is there any way, just talking out loud here, I know we got two citizens to be heard, but is there any way we could just change that to allow for a variance if you're...
I agree with you.
I don't know, you know what I'm saying? How many times we've gone through a lot of grief.
We need to remember that we've got ordinance here that have restrictions that people don't know about. I mean, we have to get rid of that. Whether we come back with something else, you've got to get rid of something that's a trip hazard for people, and there's no way for them to know about it.
And the zoning category would do that. You're right. I'm just, whatever we do, you know, I don't want to throw the baby out in the bathwater. I don't want to use cliches too much, but if we're just trying to help one very understandable situation, and we're changing the whole rules just to accommodate one situation.
Are we changing the rules when we just create a a zoning district? No.
But that's not the motion on the table.
Oh, well.
The motion on the table is to get rid of everything.
No, I don't want to do that.
Okay?
But if I understood it, though, that even if we do that, if we vote Commissioner Kessler's motion, it's still got to go through 2 public hearings, right?
Correct.
Three public hearings. So there's going to be time to revisit this at 3 different public hearings if we see a change to make, right?
Yes, the first one will be before your planning commission. You guys will have 2 bites at it.
So many times, though, Richard, that we'll get to this again, and it saves so much staff time and money if we could just, you know,
I agree with you.
We know up front. I don't know how many times we've seen things go all the way to the last public hearing.
I agree with you.
I changed my mind, and now we just wasted all this attorney time.
It would be nice if you did eliminate them, but also put the caveat in that you want to change the zoning districts, or however we work that, so that we're going down a dual path.
This would be my preference if I could. Oh, hold on. The man with the motion's in the bathroom. Hugh, get back, says to be heard.
Hugh Taylor, you know where I live. I'm up here to try to help the situation. When you get an egregious, when something like that, you know, if your house burned down or whatever, I mean, that's awful. But here's a little bit of the backstory on the mobile homes. People were finding they could go somewhere and buy a $2,000 or $3,000 mobile home, put it on a $2,000 or $3,000 lot, and, you know, have a well and septic tank, and live in Wakulla County for $6,000-8,000, which kept that particular property tax free. You with me? And that's the way I understand buying strategies for first-timers or people that couldn't afford much more than that and wanted to buy something, etc. You don't have to pay property taxes. Then it came, we can't, from the county, and this is, I guess, I noticed it 25 or 30 years ago when I was exploring, you know, putting a mobile home down there. And then it was the county, I think, and this is just off the top of my head, but I think the county set a year where your mobile home had to be, it couldn't be before a certain year. Mostly not because of structural or codes or it's better. I mean, the homes in the village were built, I guess, in the late 60s, early 70s, and, you know, they were built great. I'd much rather have a house in the village than I would a modern day mobile home. But the point was, it was done to preclude people buying cheap stuff and, you know, and never having to pay property taxes. So, and I think it was by the year, but I mean, you set you are, to some degree, you're in the covenant business. I can't go build a 400-foot house, which would suit me just fine. The whatever they call them, the mini house or the small house movement is homes between 200 and 400 feet, and you pay cash for them, and you put them on a lot. They're limited living, but they're built very well. They're energy efficient, the whole deal. So, and I hate to bring this up because it probably does involve some staff work or something like that, but that's kind of the backstory on this thing, and the thing to do there is the way forward from a situation like that is to go back, see what the real deal was, and how do we go from here to there. The unfortunate thing with all these subdivisions is you can do it, you can't do it. That's always selective enforcement and selective approval has always been the situation here. I had two neighbors that are fairly close. They tried to do it, they couldn't. Somebody a little closer to me, they were connected, and they could do it. And they put junk in. It's more like at some point I'm going to be your free code enforcement officer because of some of the stuff that I've noticed out and about. But the point wasn't, hoity-toity. It wasn't. It has to be a certain color. It wasn't a certain. It had to be a certain square footage. And I don't believe in square footage. I would beg. But the point is, there has to be a way out of egregious situations. If you have a tragedy, I guess the guy left on the least of these things, but when you have a citizen who's in a bind because of a tragic situation, I think there should be every effort made to help that person. But you can't exclude one without somebody in the same situation having that same opportunity. But there's more to this thing than just this thing. I think it has a long history here.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Here's what I would prefer. I got you too much of it, and I think we could probably all agree with it. I don't support totally getting rid of it, but I certainly would support getting rid of the age restriction. I think that would resolve their situation, okay? And then at the same time making a zoning, that special zoning that would resolve the disclosure part. Then you can just look online. That accomplishes. I think your main goal is to help these folks out, which is an admirable goal, and that would accomplish that. And I think we could all five be on board with that, and we know it would move forward.
So if you get rid of the age restriction, what else is left?
The square footage.
Which is 3 different square footages.
Yeah,
You're going to have to do 3 different zonings.
No, it'd be mobile, RMH, special or whatever.
And we'd have to, I would prefer to have one, so we already have a lot of zoning categories, so if we could find one that was mutually agreeable that we could apply to all 3 areas,
That's
I think
the
that
problem,
would be best.
Howard's good point. Some of them say you can only have, what's the smallest square footage you can have?
Well, the Griner's Edition doesn't speak to square footage, it speaks to single wide or double wide.
Wakulla Heights is the 1,300, which I think is the largest.
Is that, Magnolia says 1,240,
Yeah, Wakulla Heights is 1,300.
and Wakulla Heights is 1,300.
And which one says single wide or double wide?
Griner's.
What does it say exactly? It says you can't have a single wide?
It's I put this in all of your boxes.
Oh, well, nobody looked at that.
I saw it about an hour ago.
Yellow area, you can have a double wide or a single-family home that's site-built.
Okay.
And then it has the 2 years. In the green area, you can have a single wide, a double wide, or a site-built home, and the mobile home has to be 4 years or newer.
Is there any way to just, I know this is getting very complicated, is there any way to keep those restrictions in one zoning district? Because if we say, all right, we're going to take the least restrictive one and apply it everywhere, that's a moot point. That defeats the whole purpose of what I'm talking about, to protect the other homes.
No, it would be very difficult.
And we don't want to go back and increase the square footage on a lot where you know what I'm saying?
Somehow there should be a way of just leaving everything the way it is and giving disclosure. Now, I don't understand this lady's, did your home, may I talk to her?
Well, it burned to the ground. She can't replace it because the mobile home they want to use does not meet the age requirements, is what it boils down to. And there's no way for them to get a variance.
So your age is not the same as the one that burned?
It's newer.
No, it's newer, but you can't replace it. The age of what burnt doesn't matter.
And it's 15 years newer than the oldest.
Well, some way we ought to be able to work that out.
But there's not. There's not.
Well, we need to also think about if we create a special zoning district, where else is that going to apply? Who else is going to want that?
I know it sounds counterintuitive, and the only reason I'm even suggesting it is because it's been there since '93, and a lot of people have maybe moved there instead of Wakulla Gardens Unit 5 because of these restrictions. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That hey, nobody's going to come put a single wide rental next door to me, and they bought there because of that. And I just don't think we need
I don't want to change that.
Arbitrarily changing it.
Yeah, I don't want to change that, because if people buy in an area and they expect everything to be the same, we can't.
I know it's a little extra work, but can we keep the restrictions the same and just get rid of the age thing?
You'd have 3 new RMH, 1 restricted mobile home categories then? We'd be creating 3, I don't know how else to do it. You'd have to create 3 separate zoning districts, 1 for each area.
And then go through and rezone those properties?
Yes.
All right. Again, let's think out of the box a second. Is there a way that we can change the ordinance just to be able to grant a variance if your house burned down?
They should be. We're the board. We're the people who make the decisions.
We'd have to amend a different ordinance, so we'd have to amend.
Be simple, just to amend the ordinance and provide a way for a variance.
Well, the trouble is, it's the same issue that it's not a deed restriction. It's an ordinance that people may or may not know about when they go to buy in there.
If we change the ordinance then to say if your home is destroyed, you could replace it with one either the same year or newer. Just do that, and that would solve their problem, and not open this can of worms we're fixing to open up.
And you still, though, don't have any,
disclosure. That's right. We don't have any disclosure.
So somehow, immediately, I know it's sort of whatever, but somehow we need to help this lady tonight.
We can't.
You can't.
Can we rezone it? Can we create a zoning category just called mobile home special, and it's your due diligence to find out what that is, what the restrictions are?
Well, no, I mean, the restrictions need to be outlined in your zoning category.
All right, well.
Your code.
I don't think it's been that huge an issue. I think this situation about you can't rebuild your own home is come to our attention now. And given all the choices I just heard, I just assume leave everything alone and just change it where we can grant if your house burns down, you can replace it with a home the same age or newer.
Can we do that?
Not tonight.
But we could, Howard,
that would offer immediate relief to this situation, which I think we have to afford in some way. The other issue is addressing, like you say, that, and like Commissioner Thomas says, that we're having people buy property and not knowing that there's these restrictions in place, and we, the county, are responsible for that.
Well, we inherited it, and I know that. It's been that way for 20-something years. All I'm saying is just continue to let it slide, I guess, for lack of a better term, and change it where if your house is destroyed, you can put one in either the same age or newer.
What can we do for that purpose?
That's all we can do.
That's all we can do.
But when can we do it?
Months.
Yeah, it'll take
This is
a
the
while.
government. You are part of the government now, Jerry.
But we need to remember, too, that as the motion stands on the table, if we approve it, then we're voting to pull back government regulations, and we're voting for property rights and a person to use their property as they see fit. I ran on that. That's what I'm all about. And, you know, we need to also realize that I don't think that there's going to be a huge influx of inferior mobile homes. One, we've got the code enforcement ordinance to deal with. Two, if they're doing a cash deal, then they could possibly do it. But if it's being financed, I don't know of a single financing program now that will finance any mobile home that's ever been moved from its original setup. And there's not anything that'll finance anything. HUD standards are June of 1976. You know, there's several safeguards that are in place. We've got more public meetings that are coming forward. We can find out if there's a problem. We've got a problem, and I think we can eliminate it. And then at the public hearings, let's find out if we need to revise that.
And that's fine. I don't support that, but if you guys, it's on you, you support it, you know, be sure you want to support it and stick with it so we're not wasting dollars. That's all I'm saying. And if it, you know, we don't have to agree on everything 100%.
Yeah, we didn't. I support that.
All right, so that's, we got an original motion. All right, Chuck, come on.
He's going to talk us out of it.
Well, that's going to be my goal. Okay, as you going forward here, I mean, this is really amazing because of all the things I've heard tonight. I agree with Jerry more than most. So that's just amazing.
See, Jerry, that tells you we need to change something.
It's the hat he's wearing. Change that.
So basically, you have all these people that bought this property, like Mr. Merritt says, and they bought a property that they're going to know they can't have a single wide beside them. And now you're going to change it because your property rights issue, and you're going to screw with their property rights. So the person next to them can come in and put a little single wide on. The problem with that is if I'm out here and I'm a businessman and I have about $10,000 worth of extra cash, okay, I can go out and buy me one of those lots, put a cheap single wide on it, rent it for $500 a month. I'm walking out $5,000 a year. I'm in good shape, okay? And don't tell me there's not people out there that are going to do that, okay? Because they will, because you're letting the door open for that to occur. Yes, you can also have the people that are buying a very inexpensive mobile home, putting on those lots, so they don't have to pay property taxes. That's also they're drawing on our services, but not paying any taxes into our services. So in both situations, these are not good ideas, and I would strongly suggest that you go with Mr. Moore's idea, change your zoning district so that it's 1,200 square feet, and that should allow this lady to replace her house, and it seems like it will work for everybody involved. Thank you.
Again, Richard, Jerry, I mean, we got a motion and a second. If we're going to go down this route, I'm not saying don't change your mind, but it's a waste of money if you change your mind. That's all I'm saying.
We changed our mind tonight with the community.
Well,
Yeah.
I know, but we haven't told the attorney to go start drafting ordinances either. Which
It's not an ordinance, it's going to take a lot of time.
Okay.
Don't base it on that.
Okay, are you clear as far as the motion?
Yeah, while we're voting to...
It's like a seesaw. You go up and you go down and you go sideways.
We're voting to kill the ordinance.
Option one.
Those, okay.
Yep. Okay, I've got a motion, second, more discussion. All for the motion?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. 4-1, it passes. All right, I guess the next one's my item.
No.
How long would it take?
I have to get with somebody, it's going to take months.
We have to draft it'll take a little bit.
It takes 3 public hearings pursuant to state law.
17B.
I believe Dr. Kessler had one more item, I think.
Yep,
Go ahead.
Right, this is the resolution to support the prior county commissioners who took action to support the state purchase of Wakulla Springs and to vote to approve the attached resolution, which we read prior this evening.
Okay, we got a motion?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All for the motion?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. On my item, I'm bringing back an agenda item to change the second Monday meeting to begin at 2 o'clock, and the first meeting stay the same time. In addition, recommend staff make efforts to schedule all P&Z items, planning and zoning, on the first meeting of the month. That's when Louis said that most of the planning and zoning items would come up. Heather made a good point today. Heather, do you want to say the point, or you want me to try to recite it?
Go ahead.
Elderly folks sometimes don't like to drive at night, so they do attend the day meetings, is what she heard from another county. And I did it for savings, so we're not having all these staff people here on the time clock at meetings. I can't make a motion, so someone would.
I would make a motion that we follow your direction.
Which is approved to amend the time for the second board meeting of the month to begin at 2 p.m. Thank you, Jerry.
I'll second it.
Here, got a motion and a second. I'll go ahead and do citizens, if that's okay with y'all.
Go ahead.
Chuck Robinson.
Chuck Robinson, Wakulla County Chamber of Commerce. Actually, I was hoping you guys would have some discussion on this item first before we went into citizens.
This is discussion on this item.
But I'm saying it's your discussion. Some little chit-chat before. I think it's pretty self-evident what we saw tonight. What happens if you were to try to take a 5 p.m. meeting, move it back to 2 o'clock? Turnout? Perhaps. Moving the second meeting, Monday meeting of the month to a 2 p.m. start is like, it's actually disruptive to the schedules of the citizens and the businesses when you think about it this way. They're not in the business of coming to meetings at 2 o'clock that are held by government. There may be one or two issues they attend to, but generally the concerned citizen won't be here at 2 o'clock. Essentially, it's making government convenient to itself and not to those who it governs. Does that make sense? Anyway, if you do move forward with this, I'm asking you maybe keep big issues to the 5 o'clock, and perhaps also contacting, I know you're going to be contacting Comcast about broadcasting at 2 o'clock, and maybe also consider a tape delay at 5 o'clock. That would be my consideration. So, thank you.
Thank you. David Damon.
David Damon. Thank you, Commissioners. This is a really bad idea. People have to work for a living. They're gone all day long. They can't show up at 2 o'clock to show up for a meeting to speak on issues. If the intent is to limit citizens to be heard, that is exactly what you're doing with this idea. You saw the people that came out tonight. You saw the citizens. Most of those people that stood up here have a day job. They couldn't have come. I think you kind of know that fact going into this, and it's clearly, in my mind, a way to keep citizens from being heard. These people couldn't have come tonight. They won't come at your 2 o'clock meeting.
That's clearly not the intent, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If it's to save money, I understand and I appreciate that effort, but what the unintended consequences...
Much better worded, thank you.
The unintended consequences to this action, this motion, will be to limit citizen input. And this is, I mean, you guys work for the citizens, and you should be able to let them speak their mind on these issues and be a part of the process. And I understand everybody's looking for ways to save money, but this isn't it. I think, rethink it. I mean, because you'll make better decisions when you have our input. I know it's annoying sometimes when we stand up here and say things like I just did that kind of annoy you, but in the end, everybody working together like the community center tonight we're all better off for it. And so I think you actually do want that. You want people to be able to come to meetings and be a part of this. You guys came out better looking tonight than you would have if we hadn't been here. I think the vote could have gone differently. So I think it's really important that we work together on things. So please don't do that. I mean, make it where people can still be a part of this. The other thing is, a lot of people watch these meetings at home. Even though we don't come into some of the meetings unless it's something really important to speak on, we're still watching at home, and we like to be able to watch in the evening. We can't do that when we're at work. I mean, we're not going to record it. We're not going to see it later. So I think we need to rethink this and stick with it the way it is. Thank you.
Chuck S.
As Chuck S. speaking for CCAP, we are strongly opposed to this proposal. Basically, the only, the selling it as being saving the county money doesn't seem accurate, because the people that are here tonight working for the county, they're going to be at the meeting when you have it, whenever it is. And if they're here tonight, they're usually taking their time, they're doing comp time or flexing their time and taking time off later in the week. So you're not saving any real money by changing the meeting time. The only thing that you're going to accomplish is reduce the amount of public participation that's coming forward at your meetings. You saw tonight you had 25 people here to speak on it. How many people are going to give up a day's work to come speak about something? Only those that are really, really involved with the item.
I see all this people.
So it's this is not a good decision. This is not a good proposal to put forward, and I would strongly recommend you not do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Roberts.
Larry Roberts, South Choppy. Most of my presentation's been given to you already. A little history lesson. Years ago, for a lot of years, they had it the way that you're proposing it to be, and there was a public uproar because most of the people who were involved wanted to stay up on what was being said at these meetings. Were at work, and they could not participate. Leave it the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Hugh Taylor.
I hope you know my feelings on this. To me, it's part of a chain to limit public participation in government. You'll never convince me otherwise. And I think it's all the time it's 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Try, fail. We tried on Citizens to be Heard a number of times. That started from, well, I got the ball rolling, it's up to y'all now, and ended up with an awful lot of staff time, double staff time, I think, presenting what you can and can't say at a meeting. You heard it tonight, public participation. You can't, nobody will ever convince me that it's for our benefit, even if it's for our economic benefit. And if, Mr. Merritt, I'm assuming you have gone on record as saying it saves staff time, I'm assuming money. And I would hope that you have some material to back that up with your engineering background. But everything I've heard, my evidence right now is anecdotal, but no, there's no more cost to having it at 5 or 6 or 7. But it started at 7, and now it's at 5, and now it's going to 2. And pretty soon it will be, you can say these things at Citizens to be Heard, and you can't say these things at Citizens to be Heard. You don't, this county does not have a good history relative to to open and transparent government. So why reinforce that notion? You know, and you heard it here with the TDC. Well, nobody shows up to our meeting. You all could have come to our meetings, right? Well, you're working. You possibly are working. You might be working. And I'm assuming you're working at 8:30 and 9:30 in the morning when they have their meetings and they just chew you out for not going. Their meetings should be at 7 o'clock at night. So people that are concerned with tourism should have an opportunity to participate. I don't go, because believe it or not, I'm working. I have things to do. Efficiency, you can start at 7 o'clock and still be efficient. You know, here's the bad part. Groucho Marx said he wouldn't join a club that would have him as a member. But if you start the 2 o'clock in the afternoon club, I'm going to be the first member. And I'm assuming Miss Evelyn will be taping them, and I will be assuming that you will be watching yourselves on YouTube as you attempt to, by your very scheduling, limit the time of meetings to preclude citizen participation. Prove me wrong. We're a commuting county. If you aim for a dime, you aim for a dollar. If you want to come to a 2 o'clock meeting, you're taking more than half a day off of work to do that. Or you're taking a whole day, because going in and coming back takes 4 hours. I got a bunch of notes here, but unfortunately, handwriting was the only course. Bad handwriting was the only course I passed in medical school. Please do not vote for that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Trice, you're the last speaker of the evening.
John Trice, 35 Guarantee Lane. If y'all starting these meetings at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there ain't no doubt but you trying to keep the citizens from coming to this meeting. And I ain't going to back up and say that's not what it's for, because that's exactly what it's for. Because no citizen hardly at all can come at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So you can sit there and say that's not the reason for it or not, but that would be a bald-faced lie, because that's exactly what it's for, because half of the people in this county cannot come at that time. Before you got to be a commissioner, these meetings used to start at 7 o'clock and run to 12 o'clock, and nobody complained about it. Don't tell me shake your head no, because I used to sit at them.
I'm shaking my head at you, John.
Okay, but I used to sit at them, and they sometime would get out at 12 o'clock. Lots of nights I sat down here to 12 o'clock. But they didn't complain about it, and you're talking about staff costing a lot more money. Half the times when these meetings run late, I've been down at the county commission office, and a lot of staff members you're talking about are not at work the next day on time. So how's it costing the county a lot of money? Because the staff members are taking time off the next day because we had a meeting tonight, and they didn't come into work the next day on time. So it can't be costing us a lot more money. And y'all raise the tax enough that it'll cover the time if they do. So it can't be costing us a lot of money. We're getting money in the funds now anyway. So if you have to pay them a little more money so the county citizens can come to the meeting, so be it.
Let it go. Let the citizens come be heard. Let the people of the county that voted and put you in office come here and hear the meeting. Let them come here and see the stuff that's going on in our county that's elected you and put you up there to take care of the county. Why cut them off so they can't come here and speak and have it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? A lot of them can't make it here, Randy, and that's a privilege that they have as a voter of this county. It pays your paycheck, and they can't get here, and you doing them wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, John. I think John just made a very good point for me that I was trying to make. That he's exactly right. If people are here at night, they're not at work the next day. What does that mean? That means lower customer service. Because instead of doing their job, excuse me, instead of doing their job, they're at the meetings. Now I'm not going to fall on a sword over this, all right? I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. But following the logic I've heard, the ideal time to have a meeting is on Saturday. Now, how much sense does that make? Everybody can come to the meeting everybody can come to the meeting on Saturday, right? Why not have the meetings on Saturday? Have all our staff come in on Saturday and have everybody take a day off, and they'll get overtime or they'll get paid. That's my point. It's not to stifle. I can assure you most of the people that speak in most of these meetings can make it at 2 o'clock. So it's not to stifle, and I agree. Any, like this item about the community center, absolutely we want to have that at 5 o'clock. Absolutely. And we want to continue to have the workshops as late as we can have them. Absolutely. We want to encourage. My whole point was the meetings that have the most day-to-day business of the county, we can have those early in the day and save staff time and save money. The important items, I agree, need to be at the 5 o'clock meeting, which is why I wanted the P&Z there to encourage more citizen participation. If we don't agree on that, that's fine. It's not going to hurt my feelings. And that's really all I got to say about that.
I'll go ahead and just say, I believe we should keep it like it is, and for two reasons. And the number one reason is to keep it like it is so that citizens can come here tonight. But I want to weigh in something else too as well. Amongst the 5 of us here, I'm the only one that's either not retired or self-employed. You know, the 5 of us. Whenever to be here at the 5 o'clock meeting, I have to take off at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day to be at the early meeting before this meeting. Okay, on the days that I go to the library meetings, I have to take off in order to go to library meeting. I spent 7 years on the Tourist Development Council meeting at 8:30 every morning, and on those days I didn't get to work those days at 12 o'clock. That's in my job, and I'm actually on the commission. So okay, there are a lot of people that would like to speak to the commission, and they're in the same boat. But I'm in a job where I can take off leave, and I'm still getting paid. But there are a lot of people, if they're not at work, they're not getting paid. So for those 2 reasons, I would just say that we just keep it like it is, so that citizens can have access to speak to the government. But at the same time, I'm not trying to be selfish, but this works also better for me as well to also.
I did ask you that.
Yes, you did ask me that. That was it. That was the thing. If you guys
didn't want to do it, I'm going to drop it, because I'm not going to waste anybody's time.
I'm fine with it either way. We can meet at midnight as far as I'm concerned. You know, whatever works best for the citizens. I mean, you're not proposing to change both meetings. You're giving additional options that people can come. You know, we've got single mothers that are, you know, parents in general that might have kids in school and they don't come at night because they've got to take care of their kids. They're at the rec park. There's other times where some people would come. I'm perfectly fine with leaving it the same. I'm perfectly fine with let's try it the other way. You know, this decision doesn't have to be set in stone and can't be reversed if we find that there's no participation.
I think you can put those controversial issues on the evening agenda and take the vanilla whatever. We have some meetings where there's no controversy, so we put the controversial ones on the afternoon meeting, and the others we save the money.
You know, and whatever time that y'all decided to be, I'll definitely be here. I mean, whatever time I'm flexible in my job to be here, but I just did want to say, you know, if I'm facing that and I'm on the commission, there's many other people out there that's facing the same thing that would like to come and speak. So I would be voting to keep it like it is.
I didn't even think about that point, Ralph. Now, just briefly. Right. I mean, this will open, if we do it. Again, it's not the end of the world for me, but that would open up a whole window for people that now can't come because of children or school. I never even thought about that, but that's a good point. Howard?
Okay, great. So, I think you, the chairman, you were looking to try something new. And, I don't agree with a lot of the points. I don't think it would really be a cost saving, and I think the vast majority of our community, which is a commuting community, it's only the minority that's going to be affected, and be able to make meetings during the day, which they couldn't make at night. The vast majority, they're having a tough time making it to a 5 o'clock meeting without speeding or taking off work early. I personally think 5 p.m. is a little early to start, but I think the strongest point that I've heard, and I've heard it from other citizens, but it was made very concisely and spoken very well by Chuck Robinson, was that, this appears to be government to the convenience of itself. And we always have to keep in mind that we serve the people. It's them that we have to be attuned to. If we have a lot of people coming to us and saying, we really need some meeting in the daytime because there are, 20 people, I can't make it, or whatever it is, we have to rethink it. But right now, I think it's working the way it is, and I'd like to keep it the same way.
All right. Who made the motion? Jerry. I made the second. All right. Then we'll go ahead and vote on it. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
That's 3-2. All right. Discussion items. Sorry, Heather, you don't have anything, right?
No.
David?
Excuse me. Just to remind each one of you that we have our first budget development workshop will be this Thursday at 1 p.m. So just make sure you put that on your calendar, as well as we're rolling out our budget to to staff tomorrow as well. So we're beginning the budget process for next year.
Okay. Ralph, you got any discussion items?
No.
Jerry?
I've got one. I don't know, this ought to kick up a little dust, but it's an interesting deal. I do know for the people of Panacea that there is I believe an RPF, that's a request for proposal. Is this correct?
You're talking about for the RFP. We're working on that, yes. We're generating an RFP.
We're generating an RFP for the Women's Club to repair the Women's Club. We're also generating an RFP for the fire station to repair the fire station in Panacea. And also, I believe that Otter Lake Road is somewhere on the list to be resurfaced, quite possibly.
In the out years, yes, sir.
Yes. I would like to and also, the marina is available for lease. You go to the rec park, and Mr. Roddenberry there has the lease. So if anybody wants to lease our marina down there, you just go to the rec park and it's available. One of the things that could happen is that we have a building in Panacea that would accommodate the fire station. It's Becky Back's building. It was just to the west of where who is the guy? Ben Withers. It's just to the west of where Ben Withers' office is. It's 20,000 square feet. I would like for us to entertain and explore the possibility, since we're going to have to, you can't do anything in government unless you spend $200,000. I would like to see us, if we could, explore the possibility of maybe buying that building and not repairing the old building that we've got, maybe moving the volunteer fire department of Panacea and maybe hoping to get the volunteer fire department in Obey to come together and use the same building. Everybody is still within a 5-mile perimeter of that building, so we could combine 2 volunteer fire departments into one. They may not like to meet together, but anyway, we could do that. We could provide, instead of renovating the the women's club, in that same building, we could provide a facility for the women's club of Panacea, and we could take the current women's club space and develop that into a park facility for the children of Panacea. I know that's a lot of things to think about, but we're going to have to repair the fire station. We're going to have to repair the women's club. We need recreation for the children that we don't have. We could combine all that in that one building. It would accommodate fire and EMS maybe forever in that area. The building's 20,000 feet, and it's on the market. It's a discounted value. So it's something I would like for us to think about. I don't know if it'll work, but we could do a lot of combinations into one building.
Can I add something to clarification? The women's club and Panacea, this is the reason why none of this has been done. In the past, the budget has been cut to where last year we had a $32,000 budget for building maintenance. And out of that, we had to pay 2 people to work, 2 workers. And that was the money that we had last year. When the cuts happened, the cuts will happen in the building maintenance and the other maintenance items. Therefore, the problem is we got to build that up. And you'll notice this year we put more money into building maintenance. But understand, I got 9 roofs in this county. 9 roofs on buildings that have to be replaced. And what we're trying to do is evaluate which ones are the best to replace in what time, and as well as we're trying to conserve enough money to do that. There's not enough money, and ongoing, we've got more money I'm wanting to put into building maintenance, but to understand, to maintain this many buildings as we got in this county, and we had a $32,000 budget.
Cuts have consequences, I guess.
That's right, and understand, I think the public needs to understand, with $32,000, you just can't maintain buildings. So understand, we've got to get back there. We got to be disciplined, and we got to do it over a long period of time. But we got to get to where we can maintain them. We're committed to do that. We're going to bring back these projects to you, but understand, they're not budgeted. And I'm going to try to find the money, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to carve it out somewhere if that's what we want to do. But the biggest thing, this is what we run into. I got 9 buildings. Right now, when it rains, the fire chief has to cover up his desk, and he's on downstairs below Cleve.
Really?
And we have to pay for somebody to vacuum the carpets out every time. It's ridiculous. And we've sat here and let it happen, and we can't do it anymore. We got to move forward, and we got to start funding this stuff the way it's supposed to.
Is there any way that we can find money or whatever to?
There's no money. That's the problem. It's the first things that happened was the cuts came in Parks and Rec and building maintenance, because that was easy, because that was not the sexy things. That was the things that could go by in the big dollar.
What were the sexy things?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying. But it comes down to blocking and tackling. We need to do that. Those are taking care of the basic needs of this county, and we're not doing our taxpayers service unless we're taking care of those. And that's what we're committed to do. Sorry.
Where are we in that process?
We're in the process of trying to find the money, and right now we're looking at our revenues, and we're a little below where we need to be on our revenues, so therefore we don't have any extra this year that we're looking at. But Greg and I are going to meet next week when our numbers come in for this past month to try to see where our revenues are going, so that we can come back to you guys and say, here's where we could pay for it.
Does the Restore Act money, if we were fortunate enough to get that money, would any of that be of?
I don't know. And when that money's going to hit, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
Well, I think we need to look at that facilities money we had in the 1-cent sales tax. I mean, there's a pot of money there, and I know we're trying to allocate that to the fire station, but there's a $500,000 there that can go to any facilities.
That's the problem, though. Then we're patching up something we should be replacing.
Yeah.
And that's where that's what we've studied, and that's what I'm saying. I would rather, let's just do one thing, let's do it right. And let's quit patching stuff, and let's do it, because it's cheaper at the end of the day. It's cheaper in the long run to do the right thing and build something right. And I think that's what we're going to bring to you guys. We're going to have to put up with a little suffering on some other ends, but yeah, let's start. You got to start somewhere. You got to say, okay, from here on, we're doing things the right way. And that's what we need to do, because then at the end of the day, it will be cheaper on the taxpayers. But right now, it's going to look like it's not, but it will be cheaper on the end of the day.
Hey, I've put down a bunch of shingles. Do I need to show up with my tool belt? Cause
That would be helpful.
Hey, I'll go to work, inmate labor. There's some other guys here that can work, but.
I agree. Okay.
Anything else, Chief? I wanted to bring up, I guess you all know Pam has resigned, Pam Portwood. I assume that's public information now. And I've advocated for years that we need a full-time TDC director, and I guess now maybe we're on the cusp of we need to decide on how we want to handle this. I think, Ralph, and you pulled the agenda item, but you did discuss that, having a full-time. I don't like the idea of having somebody working on commission for grants, because then all they're going to do is go after grants. Not all of it, but you know what I mean. I'd like to see a employee given direction by TDC that reports to the county administrator.
I agree with you.
Not someone that reports to the board, because we meet twice a month. We're really not capable of supervising an employee. That's not our job. Our job is to debate and legislate. That's what I would suggest, is have they report to David, they get direction from TDC. If TDC has a problem that they think David is giving them too many things outside of their scope of work, they could come, the TDC could come to the Board of County Commissioners and we can straighten it out. But I just want to get y'all's juices flowing on that, because
And just so you know why I pulled it, I mean, one is because Pam did resign. We need to take that back to the board, and they need to have input on that. And also, I learned Friday that some of my numbers, there was a misunderstanding on what I was looking for, and some of my numbers weren't exactly accurate. It didn't greatly affect the outcome of the recommendation, but still, we need to make that as accurate as we can. And as far as the bonus for grants, that's not hard and fast for me. That's just an option. That's just another way of, if we need to dangle a carrot out there, that's something that could be done. And even the percentage, this was a conversation starter. I can't tell you that I've got a mathematical formula that's the only way this thing will work, but it'll work, and it'll give us a reference point of gauging from year to year, and then we might need to change that.
There is some good news for the county and the community and whatever. Our county is working with Zaxby's. There's going to be a Zaxby's in Crawfordville. It's in the process. It's working. So they will probably employ about 40 people and give you another option in your dining. So.
And it's not going to come before the Board of County Commissioners, right? Because we changed the rules. Some people like it, some people don't. But anyway, we changed the rules for these to be approved in-house with no politics. I think it was a good move.
Save some time.
Well,
Save some time. That's correct.
Save serious time.
The only thing I want to say is I'm glad that we made a decision that we made concerning the YMCA. I think it'll be a good asset and a good opportunity for the youth of our county.
We haven't made a decision, period. But Howard?
Yeah, so getting back to Commissioner Moore's suggestion of that building south of Ben Withers, do we know the approximate cost of a building like that?
You say it's listed right now?
I actually do not know. I know it's available at a discounted value.
Okay.
We can find out. We can find out for you, Dr. Kessler.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to get what kind of ballpark figure that represented. Not that we have the ability to move there, but no, in the effort of saving staff time, please don't.
Good answer.
One of my discussion items was the approval of some letters to the invitation to the City of Tallahassee and Leon County Commissioners so they can possibly attend or be invited to attend those from Color Springs. And I didn't have my wording correctly. If I can get a head nod again.
That's the same letter we sent out before.
Exactly the same letter. It'll just be worded to be appropriate for the city.
One of them called, one of their office called, and when I told them that these were reoccurring things, they said they couldn't make it to the last one, they tried to make it to another one. So.
Okay, so did I get the 5 head nods?
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's I just want to get where the board may or may not be receptive to this. Of some of our neighborhoods, they have roads that really become impassable during these heavy rains. They're not county roads, and yet there's, there's a need to get ambulances and fire, and of course school bus doesn't go in there when it's impassable. They just have to stay out. If there's a way of citizens coming forward and at least supplying the cost of materials such as rock or fill or whatever, how do you feel about the county if the situation arises that the roads become impassable, that the county could respond and possibly partner with those people?
I don't think we can legally do that, can we? We take county, spend public funds on private roads?
Well, there's two issues. One is the permission issue to go ahead and alter private property, but two, if you do that, they do have to pay for 100% of the costs.
There is a path forward, Howard, like Summerwind, is it Summerwind? Summerwood, same situation, private road, buses wouldn't they stopped, the situation. They stopped going in there. Yep. They took the initiative upon themselves to deed the right-of-way to the county. They're still working on it. And then we agreed for it to become a county-maintained road, and it's forever taken care of. There is a path forward. But I don't think I would support extending
No, I just
private,
want to,
you know what I mean?
No, I think the attorney has clarified that. The other thing is, getting back to the TDC, I think we should look at what we expect of a TDC director. One of the things that I enjoyed with the PowerPoint attachment was, some of the correlations that may or may not be correlations. But, how much do we as a small rural county expect our tourist development person to make? I mean, here we have a part-time person that I think the salary was for a full-time person, okay? I think the grants the grant money and those grant fees should be remaining with the county, and possibly our grant department be the ones that are moving forward with those grants, okay?
Or it could fund that position. Not go to the person.
That becomes another issue, Mr. Chairman. It seems like we're flipping the correlation. It seems like to me, which is totally opposite where it seemed like to Commissioner Thomas, that as the revenues increased, so did our salary. And when we have whatever 70% or more of our salary going to overhead, it's sort of a crazy situation. And I think we really have to think that through. Do we look for more volunteer help? Do we look for a person that's willing to accept a lesser of a salary? Because when you get down to it, even with what's coming forward now with the $500,000 thing, we're basically subcontracting it out to another person or organization to really do the work and get the things rolling. So what do we expect that tourist development director to do? How much of the collections, period, overall, do we expect to go to overhead? And I understand that in the rural county, it's going to be a larger percentage. But I think historically, the salary has sort of increased with the revenues.
And the citizen, Mr. Hickman brought up a point earlier while we were discussing it. I don't think you use TDC money to pay for a community center. You can use it for convention centers, correct? Not a community center. I just want to clarify that. But there are things we can be using that TDC money for that we're not using it for, like Bashes Sands bathrooms, for example. And I've always advocated this all the time. I think if we improve our local attractions, that will increase tourism.
Totally agree.
People come from Tallahassee.
Boat ramps.
Boat ramps.
Boat ramps is a big issue.
Those 25-foot Key West boats in Killearn aren't going to a lake. They're going to our bay. And they come down here, they spend money.
I've been fussing forever is that I can't see anything on the ground. I don't see it. I'd like the public out here would like to see something. They know that we have a TDC. They know that they're spending money and they know their salaries, but they don't ever see anything. I know that marketing brings people and so forth, but somewhere a certain percentage of that money ought to go to something that a boat ramp,
capital costs,
or a sign on 319 as you come into town that looks like something. you know. And I don't think the TDC person can serve two masters. They either got to be on salary. Really, they got to be on salary, because I've had a lot of experience with people trying to serve both ways, and it never worked for me. And I've had 100 people who were on commission and salary, and the first thing you know, they're forgetting their daily work, and they're working for their own commission, but you're still paying them for their daily work. So you can't serve two masters. You got to, if you put the TDC person on commission, then he or she doesn't do any work except she's driving her commission. If you put them on salary, we can gauge. That doesn't preclude them from going out for grants, because if that person never gets any grants, then we might reevaluate if we want that person. It's, you know.
All right, do we have a motion? Adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Motion passes 5-0. I gotta use the bathroom before I get sick.
I said it at the beginning.